Bond, this may be too much for a blunt instrument to understand, but arrogance and self-awareness seldom go hand in hand.
So you want me to be half monk, half hitman?
I have to know I can trust you and that you know who to trust. Any thug can kill. I need you to take your ego out of the equation.
Ba-da, ba-da, ba-da-da. With a license to kill, secret agent James Bond sets out on his first mission as 007 and must defeat a private banker to terrorists in a high-stakes game of poker at Casino Royale, Montenegro. But things are not what they seem. Welcome to another feature presentation of Midnight Double Feature, and on this episode, we're going to be covering 2006's Casino Royale, based on the book by Ian Fleming and directed by Martin Campbell.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Midnight Double Feature. I'm here with Colin. How you doing, Colin?
I knew
I knew it.
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good, dude. I'm good. And returning after a very long time is Danny. Danny, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Hey, guys.
How you doing? That was
I'm
just
doing
like
good
so
still.
formal. That was so formal. We are covering for the first time ever, we're covering a Bond film, which I'm really, really excited for. Danny, this was your pick. So before we get into anything, let's hear your thoughts on it first. But before we do that, I want to just, shout out the socials and shit, because obligatory, we got to suck ourselves off. So, guys, we are Midnight Double Feature. We have 2 pages on Facebook. We have Midnight Double Feature, which is our main page, and then we have the After Party, which is our group. You can also find us on Instagram, which is at Midnight Double Feature. We're on Twitter, which is at MDF Pod. And that's basically it. You're listening to a feature presentation, which is where we break down the movie. We choose a movie and we break it down. We, have our little shits and giggles. We sometimes go into a bit of a little deeper. That's what this episode's about. Obviously, there'll be spoilers. If you're looking at the runtime of the podcast, there is no way we can do this without spoilers. So be aware, we're going to go into spoilers. If you haven't seen this 13-year-old movie, then I don't know what you're doing.
Sorry.
If you're starting with this podcast, we're okay with you not starting here and just watching it instead.
Right, exactly. But before, holy shit, all the fucking, socials are done. Danny, give me your thoughts on Casino Royale. Give me your thoughts on the history of Bond. What's your history of the franchise? Hit me. Just go.
Probably like most other people, I got started watching any Bond movies just because, like, maybe your family, like your dad. That was my case. My dad was watching a lot of Bond movies, and I mostly saw, just like walking in and out of rooms, him watching more of like the Connery and like Moore era of those Bond movies.
Right, yeah.
And I guess they just never caught my attention because they just looked like they didn't age very well at the time. And so the first one that I ever saw that just like really caught my eye, and like was just super interesting and seemed really like modern, I guess at the time, was GoldenEye. And we talked a little bit about this in the discussion page we have on Facebook, the After Party. We talked a lot about, a lot of people brought up GoldenEye as practically like an honorable mention. Mm-hmm. But honestly, when you watch even all the Pierce Brosnan movies, they still don't feel like they like fully live up to the quality that they maybe could. They just kind of seem like they're trying to be goofy at times, especially as they get like later into the Pierce Brosnan movies. They get like much more goofier and a lot less like the first two.
Dude, I'm going to talk about Die Another Day.
Oh gosh. Anyway. So whenever they came out with this one, Casino Royale, it was like a reboot. It was a really big deal because I had never really been around or aware of whenever they change up a Bond, which is usually kind of a big thing in the movie industry. And I'd never even heard of Daniel Craig before either. So this was the very first time I had seen him in anything. So I had no expectations if he was going to be really good or not. But I knew that after watching all the Pierce Brosnan ones and just being soaked into the games that I know everybody played, that I was just excited that they were coming out with another one. And man, when this came out, I really, really liked it. It felt like it was finally living up to that quality that I'd never really thought about before, them reaching where the story is really, really good. The action is like really rewatchable. It doesn't feel like it's very dated at all to me. And it was just felt super original how they managed to kind of like reboot it, but kind of continue it at the same time. This is like, and I wouldn't have understood this until like last year when we finally got done watching all Dragon Ball Z, but the Bond movie continuity has like Dragon Ball Z continuity, and the fact that like when you look more into it, it makes no sense because they're derived from books, I guess, in whatever order they want to produce them in. So I guess beyond that, it was so awesome for me. Loved it. It was the first time that I was like, dude, this is like, I'm really on board with him being my Bond. And yeah, so I already spoiled it. He has definitely like become my favorite Bond. So did you have that type of introduction into Bond, Sohib?
Well, my Bond is so I started off with Die Another Day.
Oh,
that was
no.
the first Bond I ever watched, and I remember watching it.
So sorry.
I remember watching it in a cinema as a 9-year-old because that came out 2002. Born in 93. Yeah, so 9. And I watched it with my dad, and man, honestly, I fucking loved it. I loved it as a 9-year-old because that movie is so loud, and it's just...
Is that the one with Halle Berry?
Yeah. Yes, that's the one.
Okay, no,
yeah.
you were 9. We can forgive you. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's the one with Halle Berry. I mean, it's the one with the guy with the diamonds in his face. It's the one with the Jaguar and the Aston Martin on the ice, like battling each other.
And then the main bad guy that was, and this is a spoiler for Die Another Day. I'm not sorry if you haven't seen that at this point. If this ruins it for you. But the main white guy in the movie the whole time was actually the main bad guy Chinese guy or whatever.
I think Taiwanese. Oh, no, North Korean. That's the bad guy.
There you go. They were Korean. So anyway, that whole thing, you have to piece together later that was the same person. You're like, oh, the white guy's the Asian guy? It's awkward.
Yeah. And then his plan in that one is like he creates a satellite to harness the energy of the sun and something to do with global warming and shit. I'm just like, I know Bond villains have crazy plans, but man, even as a kid, I knew that shit was wild. I was just like, that's insane. But I remember loving it, dude. I remember the song in that one by Madonna. I remember quite a lot about that movie. And I remember my first experience with that movie because A, Halle Berry coming out of that fucking ocean looking fucking amazing, and B, fucking Rosamund Pike. She is in
a Private War. Yeah. We just watched
beautiful.
A Private War last week, and she's the main lead in that. Yeah,
and she's in World's End too.
Yeah, she is. She's beautiful, man. She's stunning, and I remember that was the first thing I saw her in, and I'm like, that is a different kind of beauty, and I'm all into that. So, but also Pierce Brosnan, I loved him as Bond. Like he looked classy, he looked elegant, the way he, because I mean, you got to remember 2002 and going from GoldenEye, which was his first Bond. That's a different era of action film. Like those are one-liners. Those are, we're gonna objectify women. I feel like Brosnan pulled all that shit off really well. And it's not until we get to Casino Royale that we're like, okay, we've actually had the Bourne movies to take some inspiration on, so we can change some shit up. And man, I did watch this in the movies. I watched this in the movies in 2006 with my dad again, and I didn't love it as much as I loved Die Another Day. And I think that's because I was 13 years old, and Die Another Day set all these expectations, like Bond should have gadgets, Bond should be blowing shit up with his car. Like when the Aston Martin flipped in this after like 10 seconds of driving, I was just like, what? Is that it? Is that all? But man, like, and couple that with the fact that I didn't know how to play poker back then.
That might have something to do with it.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, like
they play a card and they all have shifty eyes, and you're like, is that good? What's wrong?
Yeah, is that? Well, I'm basically Vesper's character. Fucking Mathis is like letting me know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, he loves getting real close to her. This is the next thing they're doing.
I mean, wouldn't you?
He's a
Fucking
smooth
Eva
talker
Grey.
in this.
Yeah, but man, I remember loving this in 2006. This was not loving, but I remember this grew on me. And now when I look back at it, it absolutely is my favorite Bond movie of all time. Skyfall is fantastic. Skyfall is well made. It might actually be objectively better made than this movie, but I enjoy this a lot more just because, man, the poker sequences are they're mini action sequences. Like, it is fucking fantastic. Plus, on top of that, you've got the parkour chase, you've got the airport battle. The only place where this movie kind of really falls down for me is the final act. I start to lose interest, and I'll tell you when exactly, because I can pinpoint it. Daniel Craig is an amazing Bond, man. Like, he had a lot to prove. There were actually websites that were set up to say people just saying that Daniel Craig is not Bond. Like, there was a website, danielcraigisnotbond.com.
Oh, wow.
Jesus.
There's the fun fact of the podcast.
This was a thing, man. Craig, unlike previous actors, was not considered by the protesters to fit the tall, dark, and handsome, charismatic image of Bond to which viewers had been accustomed to. And the Daily Mirror actually ran a front page news story critical of Craig with the headline, "The name's Bland, James Bland." Like, that is fucking wild.
That
dude.
is some savage, petty bullshit,
savage.
dude. That is fucking. That's like, oh yeah, well, your roots are showing, bitch. Like, that is such a diva fucking thing to say, man.
I know. And look, I've got some alternate casting that we'll get to when we get to Craig. But man, like Craig just knocked this out of the park. And by the end of it, it's tough to see anyone else in the role. Like, I mean, Sean Connery's great. My history with the Bond franchise, by the way, now, although Die Another Day was my first movie, I've gone back and watched most of the Bond films, and Sean Connery is fucking fantastic, man. Like, that guy is incredible. But I do think, man, Daniel Craig is definitely my Bond. He's got this, the way he carries himself, the way he plays these lines. Over time, it seems like he's lost interest in the character, though, and he has said this in multiple interviews. Like, there's that famous interview where he said, "I would rather slit my wrist than play this character again."
I thought that'd come up at some point.
Yeah. I mean, that's a thing. And even in Spectre, the latest film, you can see the interest waning. But man, this movie, 2006, it's hard to believe that this is 13 years old, by the way. You can see him actually trying. And when he tries with this character, it's fantastic. It works so well. This movie's so well directed, man. It's so fun to watch. It's a great movie. Great pick, Danny. I'm really glad to be covering this, dude. Colin, give me your thoughts on Casino Royale, dude. And your history with Bond as well.
Yeah. I don't really like this movie. No, I'm just kidding. I wanted to come in from the top. I wanted to come in from the top ropes with double elbows and just I feel like we have these episodes where I'm not going to lie, I am least high on this movie of all of us, though. I liked it, but there's plenty about it that I didn't like almost as much as I did like at the same time. A movie like this only comes around every once in a while that I watch, and I'm very middle of the road. I'm just kind of I didn't love that, but I didn't hate it. I could just appreciate it, and I'm not going to sit there and argue with somebody whether it's a good movie or a bad movie. I'm literally right in the gray area. I thought this was going to be one of those things. As I'm watching it, I'm like, man, I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't know. I was like, oh God, Zoheb and Danny are going to be Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, and I'm going to be fucking Darth Maul, just just fucking fighting.
I call dibs on Obi-Wan. Sorry,
Fuck. I have to be racist Liam Neeson.
Yeah, I have to be Jesus looking Liam Neeson. But no, I like the movie pretty well. It's not my favorite James Bond movie. I think it's a cool departure from the typical James Bond stuff. It's more violent. I like Daniel Craig. That's cool. He's just, it's nice to break the formula. It's nice to not have the 6'3", brown haired, brown eyed, typical James Bond. It's cool to kind of break it up every once in a while. There's no reason why it can't be someone like that. And I've said for the longest time, I'm like, I don't even care. I don't care if they end up changing the race or the sex of James Bond or whatever. As long as it's a British person, I don't care. As long as it's an English person, I don't care at all.
They just deliver lines way better.
Well, George Lazenby played Bond in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and he's Australian.
Oh, close enough though. As long as they're not I mean, basically, you're
we're not close enough.
You're basically cousins. Your whole country exists because of England.
Sorry. I don't like tea, all right? Come on.
But no, I think that, like, I've heard stuff people before have said they wanted Idris Elba to play James Bond. I'm like, fucking cool. I'm fine with that. Somebody said even, like, a younger Gillian Anderson, if they were to, like, change the name and she were, like, Jane Bond or something that. I'm like, dude, I'm not against that. She actually is, like, half British, half American. She has a great British accent. But all in all, I liked the movie. Played the fuck out of GoldenEye as a kid. I'm 28 years old. What 30-year-old did not grow up playing? If you didn't grow up playing GoldenEye, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's harder for me to empathize with people. Like, our childhoods were just so off. I don't know what to tell you. It
revolved around finding that, like, there is a level of frustration, like getting you ready for that adulthood of level of frustration you're going to reach one day. The way they prepared you with that was having you play with somebody that used Oddjob.
Dude, I was just going to say, life. The best way I can think of life as an analogy with GoldenEye is that your Jaws and life is Oddjob, just shooting you in the fucking knees and crippling you. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. But I loved that game. I never played, like, GoldenEye, like Rogue Agent or the other one that came out. I heard they remastered it as well. I never got a chance to check that out.
I heard that remastering was really good. I watched a review on it, but I never played it. But I played The World Is Not Enough. That was the next game on the N64, and then Agent Under Fire, Nightfire, and then they actually did this. I'm cutting you off a lot longer than I thought I was going to. Sorry. They ended up coming out with a game where they actually fully produced it like it were a movie, but it was all done like digitally, and of course it was like you went through the most fitness levels, so the actors really only had to, like, record some stuff and they had to take some artwork, but, like, the whole thing is acted up by them. It's called Everything or Nothing.
I was about to bring that one up. I love that game.
We played that. Like, we played a ton of that. It was third person. It was the weirdest version of a Bond game I've ever played, but it was strangely addictive.
There was some awesome, like, motorbike sequences and shit in that game.
Yeah, there were. Yeah.
And Nightfire was great as well. I really liked Nightfire.
I had that one on PC.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that's funny. I never mentioned you playing PC. I had that on GameCube.
It's actually funny. A mutual friend of ours, Daniel Carr, who we've mentioned on this podcast before. I had a bunch of X-Men trading cards and traded them for this game, and I was like, all right, cool. And he gave them to me. I was like, thanks.
That's funny.
But yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie though. I've never seen, like, I don't think I've ever seen any of the Connery Bonds. Like, GoldenEye might be one of the only ones I've ever seen. Like, I have no nostalgia for this. I think I can. I think I'm about as objective as I could be with it. You know, like, I've never really. I don't have any personal attachment to this other than GoldenEye. And that's, that was just, the movie's cool, but the N64 game is what really sucked me in. But especially, fucking Sean Bean as Electrovillian, like, that's awesome.
Oh, hell yeah.
But I think this is
awesome.
Yeah, I think this is a push in the right direction, especially after you have stuff like the Bourne trilogy come out. And, like, it kind of, because those movies, not to be understated, like, those movies were fucking huge when they came out. And I think that kind of reinvented the traveling abroad spy, like, kind of thing. And I think that it was a step in the right direction to, like, go more violent with this, and bring in, like, somebody else and kind of shake things up a bit. Every once in a while, you just got to shake things up a bit. There's nothing wrong with that.
So Colin thought the movie was okay.
Yeah, I kind of just thought it was okay. One thing, this is the very first James Bond book that was ever written. I thought that was actually pretty cool.
Cool.
Then, and there was a lot of stuff about, apparently Ian Fleming, the author of the books of the series, which there's fucking 26 books of, by the way. He was at, like, a poker game.
Many movies and games as well.
Yeah, he was at a poker game somewhere and was playing against these guys, and he said he just let his imagination get the best of him, and he started envisioning these guys as being, like, Nazi spies, and he was playing for like, he just went all out with this shit, and in reality these guys are like, I gotta go home and let the dog out. It's like they're probably these fucking super normal people, but he just kind of, like, let his imagination get the best of him, and out came Casino Royale, which was, there was, like, it's not one of those things where, like, oh, he wrote the book and it took 10 years. Dude, he wrote the book in like 52 and by 54 had the rights sold. So it was like sold very, very quickly. It's interesting to see like the first incarnations of this. It was like a CBS, it was like on a TV show or something, and James Bond was American, like very, very different from the book and the source material and stuff. But either way, yeah, no, I liked it. I like Daniel Craig as James Bond. I don't have any problem with him. Pierce Brosnan will always be my James Bond. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think I might have caught a little of Timothy Dalton's, but I'm just impartial to Timothy Dalton. I like him. And I think his movies aren't they, Danny, I'm going to ask you because you're the Bond expert. Aren't his movies like a little more violent than the other ones? Isn't he more kind of ruthless in those?
They're a lot less flashy and they're a lot more like gritty.
Every time someone mentions Timothy Dalton, I just think of Hot Fuzz now.
Yeah.
I'm a slasher. I must be stopped.
Yeah, I've heard people say, because I haven't read any of the books, but I've had people tell me this, that the most realistic Bond to the books is Timothy Dalton's, where he almost is just like kind of borderline insane in a sense in some moments. Like you can just tell he's just almost a little unstable. So those movies are kind of a little more grittier.
I do want to ask you guys, have you ever heard of the fan theory that goes around with James Bond? Have you guys heard of this at all?
I'm interested.
Hit me.
So basically, James Bond is not an individual person. If you are 007, you are James Bond. So basically, Sean Connery's agent was killed, or he was retired, or lost in action, or whatever. So it passes on, to so on and so forth. It explains why M is kind of the same age, and Bond looks physically different. He's always like younger or the same age he was before. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And I don't think that. I mean, it's not the case. I mean, that was not something that somebody had envisioned before. It's just, it's a bunch of books that got written out, and when you want to make movies over them, over the course of 4 or 5 decades that have done, you obviously can't have the same actor playing them.
I guess if I had to be that super nerd and try and point something out, at least put some use into having watched all of these now. All the Bond movies, they have, when it's different actors, they still have the same childhood story. So I feel like that would be weird whenever they weren't around, that they still talk about themselves like a fake childhood to other people. But anyway.
And even George Lazenby's, didn't he have like a wife at some point and she was killed?
Yeah, that was really radical at the time. That's on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Sean Connery had just retired, quote unquote, from the role, even though he came back and did 2 more. One more officially. One more unofficially.
That theory is interesting, Colin, but I think it kind of dispels what the point of this movie is about. Like I like that this movie kind of sets up Bond as this, by the end of it, this cold, hard, calculating person, because he's trusted Vespa and he's been betrayed by Vespa, and by the end of it, Bond becomes the character that we kind of know from the other Bonds. Like he's just kind of like this person who focuses on the mission, fucks girls, drinks, and moves on to the next mission.
Right. Yeah. I think it's never one of those. It's kind of like the feral kid theory and like Mad Max and stuff that we talked about.
Right. Yeah.
And it's cool because it's like it's one of those things where it wasn't written with that kind of intent, but you can apply that to it in some way and be like, oh, it's still kind of cool. The one that I read that was really fucking cool was that Sean Connery's character in The Rock is James Bond, and he was caught and put in.
Yeah. That's a pretty cool theory.
Yeah, I did fucking like that. I was like, I don't give a fuck. Subscribed. I was like, I'm subscribed to that. I don't give a shit. But either way,
for the record, neither of those couldn't be remotely true, but that's still both of those are still really cool that someone sat around and was like, this would be a cool way to make James Bond work. And you know what? That would also help what you guys were talking about earlier if they changed a gender or like the race or something, which I would totally be fine with as well. Just to be able, it would be neat. They would be able to use that spin on it if that were the case. But anyway, are you guys ready?
I was going to say, either way, I like this movie. James Bond is okay. It's not my favorite thing. Decently like it. And fuck you if you ever use Odd Job in GoldenEye, you fucking piece of shit asshole fucking noob. Patrick Harrington and I were talking about that in the after party, and I was like, oh hey, we were talking about playing, because you put that poll up of the James Bond,
the James Bond movies. Reveal later,
right? And Patrick Harrington was just like, yeah, whoever the first one that chimed in. And I was like, Patrick Harrington, you are my fucking dude, man. Because the first thing he said was like, anybody who uses odd job is an asshole. I was like, fuck yeah, man. That's like international rule. You don't step on cracks. It's like you don't walk under ladders, and you don't fucking use odd job in Goldeneye. Like it's just like common fucking law.
Like no matter what part of the world you're from, like everybody always knows.
Yeah. And you don't use grenade launchers on your assault rifles in Modern Warfare 2. That's a fucking noob tube. Everybody knows this shit.
And you don't use Eddie Gordo to fight in Street Fighter, all right? Come on.
Right. But yeah, I'm ready to go whenever you guys are.
Yeah, let's get into this bitch, guys. So just before we get into this opening scene, alternate director, did you hear about this, Danny? Quentin Tarantino expressed interest.
I heard about that.
Did he? I wouldn't have been surprised if he had shaped this in some way, because I've heard that he's done that, and you guys have even talked about it, that sometimes he's kind of behind the scenes. People consult him for writing things at times. Yeah. So that... I think that this would have probably not felt like a James Bond movie if he did it.
No.
But I wouldn't have minded seeing that happen, I guess.
No, I wouldn't have minded it happen either. It kind of reminds me of what he's doing with Star Trek, because he's expressed interest in directing a Star Trek. But he said that he would have set it in the 1960s and would have only made it with Pierce Brosnan as Bond. Dude, sign me up for that. Sign me way the fuck up for that.
Okay,
a Tarantino Bond in the 60s with Pierce Brosnan, hell yeah. And I guess we should also mention that Martin Campbell came back to direct this as well after Goldeneye, which is awesome.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, he's one of the only directors. I think the only other one is Sam Mendes, who's directed more than one Bond movie, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's funny because when we started thinking about doing this movie and started discussing it, we always talk about the director too, and I knew who it was for this, but then I started thinking about the other movies, about how it's changed, and I was like, wait a minute, who are the other directors in the other movies? So that, I guess it does change very consistently.
By the way, Martin Campbell has a weird resume, man. Like he directed Green Lantern. It's so weird. And he directed this movie called Edge of Darkness with Mel Gibson, which is fine. It's not terrible.
That. It was trying to follow the Taken hype train.
Right, exactly.
But it just didn't have the same level of interest. It was boring in a lot of parts.
Right. So we get this opening scene, which was actually shot in black and white and not converted in post. And this is a great introduction to fucking Craig's Bond, I think, man. Like, this is a fantastic way to also tell you that this is an early Bond. Like, he literally just got made 007. You're watching this process of him getting that license to kill.
Right, yeah. He's even the person that he approaches even can tell by just talking to him. I don't remember what he asked. Does he bleed or something? But yeah, he knows that he had killed him probably, within the last few hours maybe.
Right. I mean, I haven't read any of the books, but apparently it takes only 2 kills to become a 00. Like, what? Like, do you get the license after you kill those people? And if you do, are you a murderer before?
Right, yeah. So, if their logic is we need to make sure that after he does it he or she does it the first time, they have the mental capacity to do it a second time and still be okay with it. But, what happens to the people that do it the first time and they sit down and they're like, that kind of wasn't my thing. I don't like killing people. Do you have a position open in the kitchen? I don't know how that would play out, right?
What if every kill, obviously 2 kills, you get the 00. You kill one person, you're like, all right, I'm done. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do with 07. This guy's fucking lame. He won't get the other one. It doesn't ring like it did before.
You're literally 1/10 of our best agent.
So New Zealander Carl Urban was considered for the role, but was unable to make the screen test due to filming commitments. And according to Martin Campbell, Henry Cavill was the only other serious contender.
I wouldn't mind it.
He was too young, man, like 22 years old. Dude, I would like Henry Cavill now. Like, after seeing him in Man from U.N.C.L.E. and Mission Impossible, fucking sign him up, dude.
Well, I get it. He's young, but at the same time, isn't that the point of this Bond? Like, I know he's not 22, but I mean, come on. Like, it's Hollywood. There's 30-year-olds who play 17-year-olds all the time and vice versa. So It's not really that hard.
Definitely. Sam Worthington was also in contention, and Dougray Scott. So he was the villain in Mission Impossible 2. He was actually supposed to play Wolverine before Hugh Jackman. And speaking of Hugh Jackman, he was approached to play the character just before Craig. But he turned it down due to other commitments, which is interesting because I can't see Hugh Jackman playing Bond, but I don't know what it is.
I can't either. I think it's because he has too much of just a soft side to him. You know what I mean?
I can totally see that shit, man. Now I kind of want that.
Well, the thing I like about Craig is that he's got a bit of coldness to him, which is great for this film's casting.
That's a better way to say it.
Yeah. So Bond kills this bent agent or bent. I love the word bent. By the way, that's so British. I guess this MI6 agent, and man, this bathroom fight. It's so well done. Like, this is the first kind of introduction to what the action's going to be like in the film. And like you said, Colin, the Bourne movies had a massive sort of inspiration. This movie took a massive inspiration from Bourne, and this movie does it well. Whereas it's going to be tough to talk about this movie without talking about its sequel, Quantum of Solace, because they're really, really tightly connected.
Yeah,
Quantum of Solace,
practically minutes almost if you really watch.
Exactly. Quantum of Solace does the action sequences a lot worse than this movie does, and that movie takes the handheld Bourne style and just runs with it, man. It is not great. It's tough to follow.
It's hard. Yeah, some of those scenes are hard to watch. I mean, It's really well made. Like, it's high quality, everything else. But you almost just get dizzy watching some of those. You're right.
No, you absolutely do. Like, it's really tough, and that is one of the biggest criticisms I have against that movie. There are a lot of criticisms against that movie, but that's one of them.
Right. The story is just kind of anyway.
Yeah, and then we get into the title sequence. You Know My Name by the late great Chris Cornell. Oh man, R.I.P. Dude. I do love this. I do love this song though. It's fantastic.
Yeah, this is a badass song. They picked a nice gritty voice to do it. We were talking before we started recording about Chris Cornell and his very particular voice. It's awesome, man.
Yeah, this title sequence visually, man, like it looks fantastic. It was created by a guy named Danny Kleinman, who's done several Bond opening sequences. Martin Campbell said that although he misses the usual Bond girls, because you know how you get the sort of scantily clad shadow Bond girls doing the dances and stuff.
Yeah.
He says he missed that, but said that it doesn't really fit in with who Bond is yet. It's not until the end of the movie he becomes Bond. So yeah, that's why I decided to cut it. Apparently,
yeah, I like that because it doesn't have all these women. And it's more about this game of your ego and trying to get ahead of your opponent and shit. So you kind of see
just
that
fighting, the whole time.
Right, yeah, and just his whole like movements of like dodging the cards being thrown at him and shit. Like I like that. It kind of had this weird like Into the Spider-Verse like kind of feel to it. I was like, oh, that's cool. I like that polygon kind of look that he's got going on when he's moving and shooting and shit. Like I really dig that.
It's great art direction. Fantastic. We get this look in Africa. Basically, this is our first look at Le Chiffre, played by Mads Mikkelsen. Man, this guy's awesome.
Right. This is my first time seeing him in anything.
Same.
I thought he was immediately just a perfect Bond villain. I feel like they based the Bond villain around him before they even he was even born enough to even offer the role to him, because he just so naturally fits in. It's just I don't know. It's hard to. I was trying to relate that to some of the movies that even Colin had seen, but you go through so many of the Bond villains, and sometimes they're incredibly repeatable. They're almost the same exact Bond villain they were in the last one, except they maybe change the age or the ethnicity or something. Sometimes that's almost literally all it is. So he has a nice new taste on a Bond villain that feels threatening because he delivers lines so well. Love Mads Mikkelsen.
Mikkelsen's awesome, dude. I love the way he carries himself in this movie, but it's also I also love his character because he's not a traditional Bond villain. He's not this kind of he doesn't sit in a chair, he doesn't stroke a cat like Blofeld. He's
he's out in the field in this, in the very least.
Well, that, and he's being hunted. Pretty much the entire movie.
He doesn't have his
hunted.
shit. Yeah, sorry. He doesn't have his shit in check. Like a lot of the other villains don't have a person above them. I mean, they do. Maybe it's Blofeld, which is another thing. But most of the time, it's not even really. That might not even be relevant. They're just kind of the top of the food chain, and it's their one little blunder at the end that leads to a one-liner after they die, as opposed to Le Chiffre is legitimately. You're right. Is really fighting for his life this whole time, even though he puts on this face when he's negotiating with these other terrorists in other countries trying to do their banking for him. It's a very cool take on this. If you try to explain that to somebody, it might sound a little too political, a little too you would have to really look into the complexities of that. But the way that it's presented in this, I think, is just such a cool take on a Bond movie. It's great.
Absolutely.
Cool,
Colin, what do you think about Le Chiffre? What do you think about Mikkelsen?
I don't mind him. I think he's okay. Yes, I do think that he's a pretty cool villain, but at the same time, he is incredibly tropey. The one eye with the scar, and I'm like, dude, you shave this guy's head and you give him a cat. He's Dr. Evil. Like, he's not that far removed from those like James Bond villains. And I think to what Danny said, Danny's point, he was like, he almost feels like the villain, the archetype of the Bond villain before these even started coming out. And I don't think that's necessarily a good thing, in my opinion. Like, I think that because he fits that archetype like a little too well. He's got the inhaler, he's kind of sickly. Like, I get that. I like the crying blood thing. I don't mind that. I think that's interesting.
That's the only part I thought was a little over the top for him, honestly. That's fine.
See, the inhaler for me was the thing. I was like, dude, we get it. You're sickly. I got it. Like, I don't need to see you like, at the doctor's office and being like, so take 2 of these a day and make sure that you
bend over.
Right, exactly. Go ahead and turn your head and golf. But I was like, I don't really, he didn't really. If it were anybody else but Matt Mikkelsen, very forgettable. Very forgettable. I think that there's a handful of people that could have made this just as good or better than Mikkelsen, but I do like his portrayal of it. It's cool. The way he stares at people, yes. even if this guy had 2 working eyes, it would still fucking terrify you. And just the way that he stares.
That's a good point that you brought up a second ago, that it would have been forgettable if somebody else other than Mads Mikkelsen would have played him. I think if you watch a lot of the Bond movies, that's generally their main challenge, because a lot of the screen time goes towards the Bond and the action scenes and the women. They usually hardly have any like character development for bad guys in any of the Bond movies. Like, you just supposed to assume they're shitty and they're up to something, and that he's got to stop them a lot of the times. Like, you don't get this crazy development about how they were raised in some crazy place. Like, and if you do, it's very minimal. So if anything, this is like the most antagonist development that you get in some of the Bond movies, unless it ends up being like a main like good kind of bad person, like they end up betraying or something kind of character. So I think they would have totally been. That's a good point. He would have been forgettable if it was somebody else. But I think that's their challenge in a lot of these Bond movies, is that they have to find a bad guy that's incredibly charismatic. That's why I really liked when they did Christoph Waltz, Inspector. He's a fantastic bad guy in that. Javier
Bardem. Yeah.
Javier Bardem. There's the other one. He's probably the best one.
Dude, I don't mind the bleeding eyes, especially because the script actually addresses it. He says nothing sinister. I think it's kind of like a little bit of a dig, a little bit of a self-referential, self-aware thing. I kind of like it. But,
the thing, Mad Mikkelsen, Christoph Waltz, and Javier Bardem. I'll take weird, creepy foreign guys for 500, Alex. Like, it's very like guys with a very distinct speaking pattern. Notice that, like, very distinct ways that they talk and carry themselves.
The guy in Quantum of Solace, like, what fucking language is that? Like, what tongue what country was he raised in? Where he spoke like that level of English? It was weird. He was like patching words together. It was weird.
I've never seen the one with Javier Bardem, but I'd love, he's got James Bond like tied up, and the fucking laser beam is cutting in between James Bond. So he's like, I guess you expect me to talk. He's like, no, I expect you to die. Like, I can see him doing his fucking No Country for Old Men character. But yeah,
I can't believe you haven't seen Skyfall, dude. That's fantastic. That's dude, kind of
this. There's some scenes in Skyfall that are fucking amazing. So they're like badass. Even if you hate James Bond, him going through that skyscraper in China at night, syncing up on that assassin is like, I watched that like multiple times.
Yeah. All right. So I don't want to go past the fact that there's 2 other men here. There's this warlord named Obano, and there's Mr. White. Mr. White he keeps referring to this organization that we come to know as Quantum later in the next film. But cut to Madagascar, man. Holy shit, this sequence. All right. Yeah.
This is right when parkour was becoming something people actually knew the name of.
Yeah. Let's just talk about this in kind of like a broad stroke sort of situation, because I'm not going to talk about how Bond gets in this construction vehicle and smashes into the concrete. I don't want to go
just know
that granular.
The VIP of the next 10 minutes of this movie, when you start seeing this chasing scene, is this parkour runner. He is
Sebastian
amazing.
Foucan.
Thank you. Say it one more time.
Sebastian Foucan. Okay. He's French. I obviously fucked up his name somewhere there, but he's one of the co-creators of parkour. He said, this is a quote, "Follow your way, always practice practice, respect others in their practice, be an inspiration for others, be positive and look for positive environments, respect your environment, feel free to try other disciplines, don't take it too seriously. The journey is more important than the goal. There is no good or bad, right or wrong. What is important is what you learn from experiences through practice. Free running is not an elite discipline, but for people who love and continue to move, channel your energy in a good way.
Are you reading us his free running book or something?
No, it's just a quote. It's just a quote like that he said that I found really interesting.
Man, that sounds like an awesome guy. Not only was he ambitious enough to create something that is like amazing to watch, but he seems like he has a really, really good outlook. That's awesome.
Yeah, totally,
hi, my name's Zoheb Ali, and welcome to my TED Talks.
Free running's it's like expressing yourself 15 minutes later.
And it makes me think of The Office, where he's like, parkour, internet sensation of the early 2000s.
Well, no. Well, in The Office, John Krasinski's character actually says they just saw the new Bond movie. Like, they referenced it from this. Yeah,
I never knew that. Oh my god!
Yeah,
and we've seen The Office multiple times.
By the way, how shitty is Bond's partner?
Man, put your hand down. I love that. But it's that nice little like dabs of humor that they throw into some of the Bond movies to help keep it from being just like feel like an 80s like action movie where it's just action. So I love those little one-liners. But he's a moron. He cocks
his gun. He's a fucking idiot. He falls into the pit, buys the gun.
He fucks up this whole situation. Colin was talking, or someone was saying this earlier. If there's a like a 007 and an 07, that was the 07. That was the guy that killed one person and then didn't want to do it anymore.
He didn't like it.
You're going to have to go on a mission anyway.
This guy's 2 steps away from like fucking Dewey in the first scary movie. Just like, oh, shucks, I fucked up. like
we're supposed to be scared?
I'm surprised he didn't slip in dog shit and like fall into the pit.
Wacky arms waving around. Whoa,
yeah, like the Scooby-Doo, like, when he's like tripping.
Oh, Jakey Scoob. Yeah.
I can't believe you took out that
But I love this scene, man. Like, I love this scene because not only is it varied in terms of obstacles for Bond to overcome, it also kind of like says a lot about his character. Like, just the little stuff. Like, you've got the free runner going through the vent. Right. And that totally informs the fact that Bond is really early into his career. Like, I love that shot of like the free runner going through the vent, whereas Bond just walks through the drywall.
yeah, that's awesome.
That's great. There's another scene where the free runner jumps down, and I know we're not going to take apart this whole scene, but there's a part where the free runner is actually doing a really cool move where he jumps down an unfinished elevator shaft and he recoils back into the floor below it. There's an awesome shot because you can tell they're still working on the building, but there's water from somewhere upstairs where they're probably like using a wet saw or using a hose, and it's running down the side of the walls, and it's literally like a half a second shot because that's as long as he's in that elevator. But it's a really bitchin', like, if you had it as a still screen, it would be a really cool shot because the water's running down the wall and he bounces off it. It's fucking really well made, really well shot sequence.
Yeah, man. This entire sequence is definitely, it's one of my favorite action sequences.
I wouldn't take out a single like camera angle out of that whole chase sequence. It's like I just can't pick anything apart about it. But he goes in, that runner ends up running into the embassy, if that's where you're about to get to next.
So just before he gets there though, like, I wanted to touch on that jump from the crane. So the jump from the crane near the end of the scene, that was a real stunt and not CG. Like, that's wild. Chris Corbould, who worked with Christopher Nolan on the Dark Knight trilogy, he did the special effects with this film. He said, CGI is a great tool and can be very useful, but I will fight to the tooth and nail to do something for real. It's the best way to go. And man, this movie, you can actually see that into effect.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, man. Especially after the last one. Especially after the last one where the CG just went insane. The producers, Broccoli and Wilson, they were mindful. They said that Die Another Day had become too fantastical. And it's great.
I mean,
how
by the end, the main bad guy's like wearing a superpower suit.
Yeah, pretty much. And the plane's going down and Bond is riding a fucking wave with a parachute. Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said,
looks like your friends have bailed. That's like the scene. That's like the line in that movie that just, I swear, makes me piss myself.
Fuck that movie, dude. So, like I said, Danny, Bond runs into the embassy. So this embassy, this was the hotel from the 1965 Thunderball. It was actually abandoned after they shot Thunderball. Yeah, and they just used it for this.
I know what you're talking about. I had never recognized that.
Yeah.
We were just, there was a couple of us discussing Thunderball in the after party. That's interesting.
Bond just fucking walking into this embassy, dude. Like, you're about to start a war, dude. You are about to start World War III.
Just walking in without talking to anybody, and then especially with a gun and as sinister as he looks, like, that's just immediately something that CNN would cover for like 8 fucking months straight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, as soon as I'm watching this, the first thing that got me is when, and I don't want to backtrack, we're not going to pick this thing apart, but as he just comes crashing in with the big giant like bulldozer, and I was like, God, that is not very discreet. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And I was like, well, yeah, I guess this isn't really Bond yet. This isn't the guy who would shoot somebody with a silenced weapon and then catch the bullet before it fucking hit the ground. This isn't like that kind of James Bond yet.
Right. Yeah, he feels a little more unchained, like you said earlier, busting through the wall. And I would have never have imagined Pierce Brosnan, Sean Connery, Roger Moore, any of the others like ever busting through a wall because of that kind of like uncontrolled, like, I think kind of anger that is a little bit more primal in this Bond you're talking about.
Well, the way I think of it is like in the new Mission Impossible, you've got Henry Cavill's character, this massive hulking beast, and then you've got Tom Cruise, and the way it's described is Tom Cruise is a scalpel, whereas Henry Cavill's character is the hammer.
Yeah.
And at this point, Bond is the hammer, and it's not until later it becomes a scalpel, which I thought is a really kind of interesting way to put it in that movie. But
that is a neat way to put it.
Yeah. So this was the first shot I'd ever seen of the movie. I remember watching Lara Croft Tomb Raider, the Angelina Jolie film, because Daniel Craig was in that movie, and I remember a little commercial just before Casino Royale was coming out, and this was one of the first things I saw. It was like a shot of like Bond running through with this shirt, like the shirt that he's got on, kind of like a holiday shirt, I guess. And he's just firing with the gun in the right hand and holding the bomb maker with the left hand, and meanwhile all the glass behind him is exploding from all the gunfire. It's great, man. It's a great shot. But yeah, it's really memorable to me. And the shot of Bond crashing through the window apparently took 18 takes. Jesus. Yeah. But yeah, man, he kills the bomb maker in a fantastic sequence. I also don't want to go past the music here. It's fantastic the way it kind of crescendos when he turns around and does the little standoff. Great.
Yeah. The scores in the Bond movies, even whenever the Bond movie isn't good, are always very, very high quality.
Definitely. We get a little look in at Le Chiffre's boat. This is where he mentions the bleeding eyes. Nothing sinister, but obviously as a 13-year-old kid, you're watching this and you're like, that's scary, Mom.
He's not a good person.
Yeah. But this also sets up the fact that he's really good at poker. You have a 17.4% chance of making it straight. Jesus Christ.
Right when you hear him say that, you start realizing where his strengths lie as a bad guy, whereas some other bad guys have maybe like an unquestionable amount of wealth or a lot of weaponry or something. His, as you can tell, that he's calculating and probably got where he's at now because of how cunning you can tell he is about things that he's interested in.
Right. He's no Jaws, right? Like, he's not a massive hulking figure.
That's a great analogy for your hammer and scalpel. Jaws would be a hammer and the sheaf would be a scalpel.
Yeah. I also love the line, give our guests 5 minutes to leave or throw them overboard.
Yeah.
I fucking hate that line.
What? Really?
It's just
what do you not like about it?
Look at me, I'm such a bad guy. It's like it reminds me of the line that Gary Oldman has in Fifth Element when at the beginning of it, just to establish how bad of a guy. That whole line is there just to establish, like, oh, look at him, he's bad, he's real bad. And it's like, dude, actions speak louder than words to me. Like, if there was somebody who was like, well, why am I getting off the boat? I'm not getting, and he just shot him in the head and threw him over the fucking boat, I'd be like, fuck, like, that's brutal. This is a movie that shows us it's not afraid to be brutal at the very beginning of it. So in a way, I almost thought, I was like, God, Bond comes off as more brutal and ruthless than Le Chiffre. I was like, and I just, something about that I didn't like, and it reminds me of to establish Gary Oldman's character in Fifth Element. One of the first things they do is, he's Zorg, or I can't remember his name, but he runs a company, and they're like, hey, we need to lay off 500,000 people. He's like, lay off 1 million, and they're like, okay, fuck, why? That's dumb. And the guy even says, he's like, but we don't need to do that. that. Like, and I think it's just kind of service to show you like how ruthless or whatever that person is. But if you really want to show me through like the actions. Don't have like a line of dialogue about it or something. Because like that whole thing with Bond strangling that fucking guy to death and putting his head in the sink had way more of an effect on me than just this one-armed fucking like Scarface douchebag being like, oh yeah, throw him over the boat if they don't leave in 5 minutes. I'm like, dude, just shoot him. Like, fuck it.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying, man, but I don't know. I think it fits in with the style of what they're going for here.
I guess maybe Le Chiffre isn't as brutal.
But what are you talking about? Did you not see the ball whacking sequence?
I guess maybe we just haven't gotten to his brutal mindset yet.
Well, it scared me whenever I was watching this and that scene popped up, and I was like, "Am I casting my YouPorn account right now? This is weird." I like when he's smashing his balls in. I was like, "Oh man, my porn must be playing over the casting thing right now."
Yeah.
Wow. Well, right, you're watching some weird shit, Colin.
Yeah.
And delete history. We meet M, dude. Dame Judi Dench. Fucking hell, fuck that up, didn't I? Dame Judi Dench.
Judi Dench. Get her name
fantastic.
Right, so hip.
I love her.
Judi
Dench. She is obviously she's a holdover from the old Pierce Brosnan movies, which is kind of crazy because you're like, we're rebooting the franchise, but we're keeping one of the most consistent and the best elements from the last ones.
Yeah, and I'm not upset at all with no matter what kind of continuity people would be making up that they brought her back, because I don't even know how highly to speak of Judi Dench. Man, I love every time I've seen her in something, she's just nails it. She's so charismatic and just always like brings so much life to the characters that she's in. And again, just because we're going to reference a lot of the other Bonds, it's always been a male Bond. It's always been a male M. And sometimes it just feels like, oh, Bond, go kill that man. Please come back alive. So this is the first time where, even in like her entrance in GoldenEye is awesome. If you remember that, or if you haven't seen it, she just immediately just doesn't even let anybody walk all over her at all. The second that he starts accidentally talking bad about her when he doesn't know she's in the room. And so she carries that ferocity like over into this one whenever she gets introduced, and I just fucking love it. Yeah. Awesome.
Colin, do you care about spoilers for Skyfall?
Nah, I don't give a fuck.
Okay, so spoilers for Skyfall. She gets killed in Skyfall, and it's actually, it does return to a male M. It goes to Ralph Fiennes.
Yeah, he's
I like
okay.
him.
But that's some serious continuity. They don't do that very often in Bonds, where they actually establish a character leaving and I don't know if it's because an actor was leaving, but they usually just don't sync up that stuff on purpose. Yeah. So that was very interesting. That really shook me, because I really, really loved her characters, and it was the first time that I realized they were doing a continuity kind of thing. That seriously in James Bond, and that she was the one that was kind of the proof of that. I was really bummed out.
Yeah. Christ, I missed the Cold War. She's fantastic. Ellipsis leads Bond to the Bahamas after he breaks into M's personal computer.
Yep,
but by the way, do you think? I think he wanted M to know. That's why he didn't close the lid of the laptop.
Absolutely.
Like the entire way.
Yeah. Think about the training they get and how they have to microanalyze everything.
Absolutely.
Seeing a laptop left open, especially with the screen turned on, if she opened it, I'm sure it would maybe even still be left at something he was looking at. Is everything that he wanted her to see. I mean, he wants her to make sure that he's kind of like followed, because I love that about his character. That really makes Bond different than any other like spy that you would write. It's interesting that he kind of has this pride about his country and his job and his duty, that he still carries it out even whenever he has to break into his boss's, that would be like if there was like a security firm like in the US, and like you worked for it and you broke into the director of that firm's like house because you were trying to complete a mission for your country. Like that's the same exact thing. That's how insane that is to me. So really says a lot about his character that he does that, and then he leaves it behind and trusts that she won't just go, no, to hell with you. You can't, sacrifice our country on a hunch that you're trying to really hunt after. But she trusts him with it, as we can tell.
Yeah,
a little bit later.
By the way, what does M stand for? Because with Fiennes, it stands for Mallory. I don't know what this M stands for though.
Malaria.
There we go. You always hear him call her mom. No, he's saying ma'am. That took me a while to figure that out. That British people say ma'am as mum. And I was like, why do they always call him Mom?
Yeah, look, can you let us know, Craig Dealey, if you're listening?
Or Kay Ridley Hall, please.
Yeah, please. By the way, when she says don't ever break into my house again, I shit my pants. She's fantastic.
I did too. I was like, fuck.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Don't fuck with her, dude. But we get to Nassau, Bahamas. I love this gag with the guy who thinks Bond is a valet.
Right. He's like, I'll park your car for you. I've met people like that.
Yeah.
They thought I was their valet. I was just standing there in nice clothes.
Really?
No.
I was going to say, fuck, wow.
But I've met people that are just, that would be that type of person that would show up at a country club and throw keys at someone and be like, there you go. Where's my friends? They're fat
but
too.
I love this because it's like,
where's my friends? They're fat too. Sorry. Just
Jesus
the fact
Christ.
that you trailed off with that, I'm sorry.
But
All right, I'm done.
I love this about Craig because it's just so visual. Like it's just all, I'm gonna fuck with this guy, but I'm gonna do it really cleverly.
Right. Yeah. But also, I feel like he hadn't planned out how he was probably going to access the security room, but it shows how quick thinking he is on his feet that he backed that up and just really casually left like he had nothing to do with it and used it as an opportunity to look at the videotapes.
Yeah.
And
when he's in the security room and he sees the guy on the camera, that little smile that he does.
Yeah, that smirk is just, you can tell that he still has a little bit of a soul in him. I feel like from Quantum of Solace and on, if he saw something like that, he wouldn't have smiled. He would have just kept looking around.
Yeah. So Bond asks this concierge about Mr. Demetrius. By the way, this concierge is beautiful. Like, she reminds me of the concierge from Hangover. Colin, do you remember her?
Oh, yeah. I was wondering because they frame her in a way that really draws your eye and focus. I mean, obviously she's an attractive woman, but I was like, I feel like I know you from somewhere, or that the movie's trying to tell me to make a bigger deal of you than maybe we were supposed to, or I was thinking maybe this is just something with Bond where it shows that he has just a way with words, especially with women. I mean, when he's walking into the place, there's two women that are like, hey, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of, I think it's putting the focus on the fact that she's ready to fucking hop that counter and then his dick if given the chance. So like, it's just kind of
all that from like a couple lines she had. That's impressive.
Well, I mean, looking
about
like
the look,
right? It's again, it is show and don't tell. Like it's the look on her face. I think she maybe like pushes her hair behind her ear. It's very telltale signs of stuff that's so funny that I could pick up on in a movie. Shit, I could never pick up on that in real life. Like I've had moments when I was younger. Like I was fortunate enough to like have a woman hit on me, and I was like, I think she was kind of talking to me. Like, like I'm like, yeah, she literally walked up and said, I would have fucked you, and I'm like, I think she's coming on to me. No, I'm just kidding.
That's a little more serious than you thought it was, Colin.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, I was 12 and she was 30. It just wouldn't work. No, I'm just kidding.
I feel like this is just going to turn into evidence now.
It's like that Conan O'Brien, like, secrets. When they would do that back in the day. Those are fucking hilarious.
Moving on. He gets information from the security room. He discovers who...
What? We're past that. Fuck you.
I'm trying to bridge between where we're at now to the security room. Zoheb.
I got it.
Take it over then. Jeez.
Bond. Well, I don't know what the fuck. Conan O'Brien? Like what?
Colin brought that up. I was segueing us out of that.
All right. Bond goes for a commercial swim. Like,
all
this
you
is
do is yell at me.
Yeah, I do.
I'm sorry.
Bond says Solange. Was this woman carved out of pure sex?
Oh, Jesus, dude.
Jesus Christ. She's on a horse.
It's so normal. Yeah.
Why is she on a horse?
She's on a horse.
That is the most random scene to me in this whole damn movie. Is that she rode up on a horse and you're like, what?
Yeah.
How'd that horse get on Nassau?
We get this Bahamas poker scene. Bond orders a large Mountain Gay. What the fuck? I guess he's not Bond yet, but yeah. The car guy, Mr. Demetrius, spots him. By the way, there ain't no way Mr. Demetrius snags a girl like Solange without money.
Dude, that fucking guy, you're talking about that Tony Shalhoub Men in Black alien looking motherfucker, dude? Yeah. No, there's no... You're talking about Kramer's stunt double from Seinfeld? No, there's no fucking way he's pulling that chick down. down. Dude. I was like, oh my God. I was like, you look like Eva Mendes. You look like God, I'm going to fuck up her name. She's in From Dusk Till Dawn. She's drop dead gorgeous. She's in so much stuff. Salma Hayek. Thank you. She looks like Eva Mendes and Salma Hayek had a baby. And I'm like, dude, this guy, this fucking Choni Shalhoub, Michael Richards looking motherfucker. Like, I don't think so. You're not fucking Eraserhead over here. Like this weird ass fucking dude.
He just takes his head and puts her tits in his face. Someone was like, what? So I know that you're supposed to read your opponents in poker, but man, Bond like stares like five unbroken seconds at Demetrios. Did you notice this?
Sorry.
You heard the drink he just ordered.
Yeah. Colin, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say he's like staring. He's like, what the fuck are you looking at? Like he just eventually like fucking snaps.
Yeah. Demetrius loses his Aston Martin by 3 of a kind aces, and Bond manages to snag Solange and takes her home for a quote drink. I love the round trip that they do.
Drives around that little cul-de-sac.
Yeah. But you know what's more interesting? The valet plays along. Good evening, sir, and welcome back.
Yeah.
This guy's like, what the fuck are you high?
That's the level of professionalism they have there. They probably have so many drunk rich people come through that they just have to just go with it.
Right, exactly. Demetrius meets with Lashif, and he says that he has...
I now see who Demetrius looks like. You know how there's those puppets that go meep, 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 meep? Like, I don't know what their names are, but they have really, really tall faces. What is that from?
I'm not familiar.
Colin, do you know what that is? It's an American thing I see a lot. It's like
my random obscure references could usually save just about anybody, but I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I'm gonna find the picture I'm talking about because I know I sound crazy, but when you see it, I think they're from like it's a dead match.
They're from like it's like Muppets or Sesame Street, like meep, like weird, like I know what you're talking about.
You see one of them, it looks just like him in that scene that Zoheb was just talking about that I interrupted. He's on the boat with Lashif, and
he says that he has someone else to do the job. He just needs particulars and payment. So meanwhile, Bond professionally and ethically gets information from Solange, right? Like
professionally and ethically. That's a good way to put it.
I remember watching this scene in the cinema with my dad as a 13-year-old man. Like, this is so awkward to watch.
You lean over and you're like, I have questions.
What is happening? What is happening to my pants?
So what blew me away in this scene was that this is the first time that they set up the cliche, Bond and her are going to spend the night together and then she's probably going to get killed later sort of setting. But it is, I mean, I like almost busted out laughing in the theater whenever he gets done getting the information from her and then it just shows him driving off. I was like, damn.
Yeah, he just leaves. He just leaves. Like,
he leaves her ass. I was like, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah. And then we kind of get this airport sequence. So this is done in 2 parts. There's this sort of cat and mouse sequence, and then there's the action sequence. So
super tense cat and mouse followed by like a literally like speed level like crazy ass like theatrics.
Bond gets caught snooping and stabs Demetrius after they not so subtly have a little tussle. Like everyone is walking past them, by the way.
Yeah, this is like in John Wick 2 whenever Common and John Wick are walking down several of the corridors in like New York or wherever they're at, and it's like pew, 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 like they're slowly fighting each other.
Bond takes his phone and sees the message saying ellipsis, but we're not out of the woods yet. Someone's taken Demetrius's bag. By the way, this stuff is kind of ballsy to do in 2006, no? Like, this is only 5 years after 9/11. Like, I know that 9/11's mentioned in dialogue later, but man, this is a lot of suspicious activity at an airport post 9/11. Even like before the sprinklers, like they're kind of like running towards like the doors in like plain sight and shit. I'm just like, this is like, there is no way someone's not going to pick up on this.
I agree. I guess that did feel pretty out of place at the time. You're right.
Yeah. After the sprinklers, but man, like this guy, he finds an open locker with a gun in it. I'm like, okay, like, come on, man. Like, that's not going to happen at an airport.
Yeah. Maybe set up beforehand, like smuggled in. I don't know.
Maybe.
Like if you watch Air Force One today, you're like, there's no way. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Get off my plane. Yeah.
Mr. President, what the fuck are you doing? Get in that room.
Speaking of Gary Oldman. Yeah.
Oh, man. It took me forever to figure out that was him. Anyway.
I always laughed at the guy. Like, so he's following the guy. The guy puts on the glasses and he notices Bond following him. He takes off the glasses and he just ducks. He like slinks beneath the frame. I'm like, what are you, Houdini?
It'd been funny, like if the camera panned out and he was just like slowly lowering behind a couch and the camera didn't move and Daniel Craig just walked over there and was like, "What are you doing? Get up!"
So the largest plane in the world is being unveiled at Miami Airport today, but really it's an Airbus A380. Like, it's nothing special today. I love that this 13-year-old time difference is like, oh, it's just a A380. It's fine. It's we see it all the time. The chase on the tarmac is awesome, dude. This is all
Very
practical.
cool.
Awesome. Like, this will be a thing that the Craig Bonds do very often with the all practical stuff. Colin, talk to me about this sequence, dude.
Well, it takes place at an airport. No,
really?
No, I liked it pretty well. I liked the whole like the kind of the up and downs of it. The fact that that Bond kind of gets the drop on this. Do we even know what this guy's name is?
Did you watch the chase? No.
Just a terrorist. Yeah.
So it's
he's
kind
a
of like
nameless terrorist. Yeah.
Right. Especially just like a few highlights and stuff. When he's on like the side of the door and the truck starts coming and he just kind of jumps off, and then when he comes back up, is running on top of the truck and then just kind of like swings himself back in through the windshield, just fucking kicks him like directly. It's like, oh
yeah.
fuck. Like,
there's a scene in the first Transporter where Jason Statham is doing the same exact thing on top of a semi.
I remember.
He jumps and spins around and kicks someone in through a window, and it looks fucking brutal. I think this captures that the same way.
By the way, the bad dude does like the standard movie neck break on the fuel truck driver. Like, I'm just like, you barely touched him, and he breaks his neck apparently. Dude,
okay. I was like, what? Yeah, okay.
Dude, there is this one of my favorite shots in the entire movie. So it's this overhead shot of Bond like rolling away from the oncoming truck.
Man, like it almost seems like it almost seems like he doesn't make it even after watching it. It's almost so like he went under the lip of the bumper of the truck and not quite the tire yet, because it almost seems like not all of him makes it across. It couldn't be any closer. It's like those clips on YouTube you see people that's near fails and like they barely cross a train track in time, and like even rewatching it you're like, how did they miss that train track, like walking across it? It feels so close.
Cool, dude, when they drive through the baggage, like, I know I'm getting old when I think about the people who the stuff belongs to. Like, can you imagine someone getting the news? They're just like, what? My underwear is destroyed because a British Secret Service agent in Miami was stopping a terror attack?
I'd be so okay with that. I'd tell everybody that.
Well, if it was Bond, I'd be like, yeah, but
it's one of the suitcases. It's just like a fucking mound of cocaine explodes like out in the air.
That would have been some funny like Easter egg stuff. Is one of those suitcases just blows up in powder and he's like, and then this next thing when he comes back to the hotel and he's talking to him, she's like, Bond, she's dead, and he's like, yeah, huh? Who? She's dead? Is she okay?
What airport is this in Florida? I can't remember exactly.
Miami.
Yeah, of course. No, yeah, then there's definitely fucking cocaine in those bags.
Some alligators are somewhere out of the shot somewhere. But it's like, think about that. A British Secret Service agent in Miami stopping a terror attack. Like, what? Okay. Like, when you step back and think about it, it's kind of like, what is this?
I mean, I guess it just his business happened to lead him there. Miami is just kind of, I guess, where they live.
The movie does a great job of like making you kind of like believe it, sort of thing.
But they're really good about picking out like any of the Bond movies. Whoever their location scout for a James Bond movie has got to be the best job on earth, and they do a really good job picking out some really exotic locations. So they aren't going to be like, hey, let's have a really exotic like chase scene in like Kansas City. Like, they're going to want to put it somewhere really cool like Miami.
This place where they shot this airport sequence is actually the Dunsfold Park Aerodrome. So that's actually famous for being the Top Gear test track in Top Gear. Yeah,
I didn't recognize that's what that was.
Oh, that's cool. I love that show.
Actually, we watched all the ones for Hammond, May, and Clark up to them leaving.
And what's happening at the same time, just off camera, they're actually testing the Aston Martin flip. That's going to happen later. It's not shot there, but they're testing it at that
so
same
cool.
night. Yeah.
Nice trivia. Wild. I love that shit. That's so cool.
It's wild, dude. I love it. So, dude, the police car getting blown away by the plane engine is always awesome.
Yeah,
but
the coolest
I've seen enough air crash investigations to know that a massive 747 couldn't pull that off. Like, you can't be that low and pull up that quickly. Sorry.
Oh, someone's a lawyer and a pilot here.
Zing!
Hey, I'm just like, that is tons and tons of metal. Like, there's no way.
That'd be so funny if that were just situations in your everyday-to-day life. Like, dude, I think I can jump off my third floor with an umbrella and like catch myself yourself. It's like, dude, you can't do that. You'll die. Oh, someone's a physicist all of a sudden.
Yeah. Well, technically, the velocity that you're traveling won't be able to stop you in time. The deceleration won't be able to reach that point. Yeah, whatever.
Oh, someone's a lawyer and a pilot and a physicist now.
I did physics in year 12. I did physics. Dude, the way it ends is awesome, though. Like, the look on Bond's face is outstanding when he blows up
Sinister
that guy.
almost. You can tell that he enjoyed winning that whole fucking... Like, he flew from one country to another on a plane, like, nonstop just after killing a different guy in a wax museum. You could tell he was happy with how that was turning out.
We find out that Le Chiffre lost over $101 million. This stockbroker must think he's the biggest idiot of all time. Like, he's probably thinking, I fucking told you, cunt.
And it's important to know, and for context, that that's not his money that he lost. It's the entire spin on his character. It's money from the people that are in the same exact level, I guess I could say, of business that he's in, that can't really get their money put through normal stuff and investments like that. So they have to put it through a player like Le Chiffre. That's where his strength came in at some point. Unfortunately, it didn't stick with him, or else this wouldn't have been an interesting movie.
Right, exactly.
I'm a very wealthy, successful investor, and then him and Bond never meet.
Yeah. Bond returns to the Bahamas. Solange is dead, and I'm just like, damn, what a
not Beyonce's sister. I thought
waste of ass. M gives Bond the lowdown on Le Chiffre, that he's a banker for the world's terrorists, that he lost over $100 million betting the wrong way, and that he was able to set up a high-stakes poker game at the Casino Royale in Montenegro with a potential $150 million pot.
Right.
And it's important to know that M doesn't want Bond to kill Le Chiffre. He wants him to make sure that Le Chiffre loses so that MI6 can offer him a safe haven.
Yeah, and then he'll spill all the beans on the people that he's been doing investments for. It's a very cool approach to trying to get him, because they are usually very just straight up. You need to go. They just say, go look into this, and then it just turns out that he kills him at the end because bad guy versus good guy stuff.
Right, but it's also a very good premise for a spy movie. Like that is total. Like, that's espionage right there.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool.
Like,
right?
you usually don't feel tension for the bad guy, but you actually feel like tension and pressure for Le Chiffre through this a lot.
But I think it's got that very political, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, kind of thing. And basically your interests are our interests at those points. Like, what happens after this meeting is, I mean, anything can go, but at this point in time, you are the teammate that I need to do this to make it easier, at least.
Right, exactly. We also can't go past the fact that Bond's injected with a tracker here as well. So MI6 definitely want to keep tabs on him.
Right.
And this is the end of Act 1. It is really, really distinctive where the acts end. So, because the next shot is literally Bond on the way to Montenegro.
In a train.
Yeah, he meets the beautiful Vesper Landman, played by Eva Green. She is awesome.
Yeah.
Is she?
Yeah.
She's the first Bond girl that just could kind of see through his bullshit. All the other Bond girls are not like, I don't know, they're just a little too head over heels for Bond for all the
they're too
Hollywood reasons, but all the wrong real reasons. They're all head over heels for him because it makes the movie more interesting. But you can tell between their banter because, of course, they're kind of like each other's contacts throughout this whole thing, through this whole operation. Sorry, I trailed off, but they have a really good balance between each other, just between how she doesn't put up with any of his bullshit in this. He starts trying to throw some of those cocky lines to people, and she just one-ups him. Each time you can tell by the end of their conversation that he's really shaking his head like, yeah, I like this girl.
Colin, what were we going to say?
Fuck, I don't even remember after that shit. God damn. No, I'm kidding. There's actually...
I'm kidding.
I think...
I want to talk about Freddie Mercury. Stop talking for a minute.
No, I think it's actually a cool way to get across exactly who she is when she shows the business card. And it's very just gives you a quick shot of it. And I like that because it's cool. She's a part of this. Her name's Vesper Lynn. I understand all of that from a scene that feels very believable.
Cillian Rail.
Yes, yeah, exactly. American Psycho. Also, she, I know it's oh my God, she's fucking gorgeous. And yeah, obviously she's very gorgeous, but she's one of the few Bond girls where I was like, well, she's actually kind of gives Bond a run for his money. She's not a damsel in distress. Yeah. She breaks the mold of the typical Bond girl. And that's even one thing that Ian Fleming, when he was writing the novel I was reading, said that there are a lot of times where he hated Bond. He hated Bond because he was misogynistic and was really kind of objectifying like a lot of these women. And I think the series has come a long way in terms of what it started with. I mean, literally, like, there's interviews with Sean Connery where he's like, well, I think it's perfectly fine to smack a woman as long as you have an open hand. And I'm like, oh God.
I was so shocked when I heard that from him. I was like, oh no, I can't believe he said that.
Oh, dude. And then like 10 years later, it's the same. It's Barbara Walters. And she's like, do you still feel the same way? He's like, yeah. I'll smack you right now, you fucking bitch.
Winners get to go home and fuck the prom queen.
When we cover The Rock one day, I'm telling you, we're going to have fun with it. Because it is so bad, it's good in a lot of points.
But yeah, man, like, you guys definitely hit the nail on the head. She's a fantastic and a great different Bond girl with some substance. By the way, speaking of which, my next sentence is going to go like right the other way. If you haven't already, check out Sin City: A Dame to Kill For and 300: Rise of an Empire, because she's got some great assets in those movies.
The one thing I will say about, I forgive it because it's her first scene in this and she plays such an integral part to the rest of the story, but I did feel like the scene went on for a little bit too long. They have dinner and then they're picking each other apart. They get very like Matrix Revolutions, well, quid pro quo, kind of thing, like
quid pro pro.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. It gets a little heady, and that's one thing I do generally dislike about this movie is that it's fucking 2.5 hours long.
It is long.
Like, God damn,
long.
Dude.
Yeah, a little too long. That's my one gripe.
I'll get to those issues, especially in the third act, man. Like, it feels like it drags its heels.
It's like, here's another twist and another twist. You just get married? Yeah.
I do actually like the psychological profiles, Colin, because it's like, this is one of the first times that we get a look into who Bond is as a person outside of him being a 007. Because she says, he went to Oxford, he didn't come from money, he's an orphan, and these are things that are, they're explored later in Skyfall and Spectre.
They bring it up in GoldenEye, but it's not a huge.
Yeah, I love that the seeds are planted here, though. Like,
you're right.
It's great. And I love the way the scene ends, man, with Bond being absolutely impressed. I love that smile, that smirk he does.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, because we have to start setting up that Vesper is starting to have an effect on him. Like, that needs to happen from here.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought it up that way because it helps you segue. Colin was really talking very highly about her abilities, as he should, because she's just such a stellar role in this, and it's just such a new, fun twist on a Bond girl. But I think she might be the most cunning person in this whole thing, because right from the get-go, she fools the viewers, but she also fools Bond. I mean, no one sees what ultimately her kind of whole issue is coming until you get to that part at the 4-hour mark or whatever part that happens in this movie. It's so long. But you know what I'm talking about. She definitely has like an interesting twist in this whole thing. When you go back and watch this, it makes you think about the discussion that they're having on the train totally different, because she's fucking playing him.
Yeah,
she's playing everybody, man. It's fucked up.
And she's great. Eva Green makes it so natural. Like, she's fantastic. They practice their background stories. She's Stephanie Broadchest.
I didn't catch that.
Dude, I love You're Not My Type. Smart, single. Like, just the great, little Bond lines, little Bond moments like that. And they get to the lobby of the hotel, and Bond straight up tells her his name and that Vesper's from the Treasury. How great is that?
Yeah, you're like, oh.
Yeah, but obviously Vesper's pissed at that. But Bond figures that, Le Chiffre probably already knows who the fuck they are. And he does later.
Yep.
Bond gets a package, walks outside to a beautiful Aston Martin DBS, which is the successor to the Vanquish from Die Another Day. This car is fucking stunning, man.
Yeah, that's a badass car. Awesome. More Top Gear discussion inserted right here. Moving on.
What?
I said more Top Gear discussion right here. That's where we...
All right, Stig, settle down.
I wouldn't have spoken were I the Stig.
We meet Renee Mathis, their contact. He explains that Le Chiffre is well connected, including with the chief of police. Dude,
they waste they waste his character in the next movie, but he is awesome in this.
He's a baller in this, man. Like, he fucking frames the chief of police, dude.
I know, like, right behind him, he's just like, you don't want to fuck with me. Points over his shoulder. He's like, I made that happen. You just watch the guy get arrested while he's eating a grape.
I'm glad you said he's wasted in the next one, dude, because he absolutely is. Like, although his character is a bit more sympathetic in the next one, they do waste it. Like, I like the moments that we we get with Bond in the next one with him.
Well, you see that MI6 sets up Mathis in a little bit of a safe haven on this bitchin' island in Italy or some shit, or Greece. I mean, he really like leaves this paradise to help Bond, and then Bond has to. And I'm sorry, this is a spoiler alert for Quantum of Solace, but they end up just dumping his body in a dumpster and taking his wallet and leaving.
Yeah.
I mean, he has the most like unceremonial death for how much he's helped Bond in these two movies. It's pretty fucked up.
See, but I always liked Bond taking his wallet. Like, I was just like, he meant nothing to him, because like that kind of stems from everything in this movie.
I mean, but it also shows like that's his level of, that's kind of where he cuts the line, where he knows that it doesn't make sense for him to keep his wallet on him. He knows that it makes the most sense tactically for him to take that with him and have as many resources, because, and, you know, especially like, you don't want somebody to steal his wallet, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, Bond with the suit, tailored by Vespa, who sized him up the moment they met.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, well done to Craig, man. Like, he pulls off the first time he actually pulls off the classical Bond look.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, and he's almost like offended at the notion of somebody dressing him. Like, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, but he can tell how clever she is, that he fits that very well. And you said he comes out in the suit really well. I think it's worth noting that we've seen him in like hardcore, like running around like crazy Bond mode, and now we're seeing him on that other side where he has to dress the part and put on a different hat. Makes how versatile he is. And I think that Daniel Craig nails both of those types of looks so well that they, like, I know they picked really well with him. If there's ever any doubt before I don't remember, then it was immediately gone, to the point where I don't even think I doubted in the first place. He does it so well.
He has to pull off that suave and debonair look of Bond, for sure.
The thing that also gets me is Vesper's, you know, getting her makeup on and stuff. I'm like, so it's to see that, to me, like that whole like hair up, I'm not wearing any makeup. I'm like, that to me is so much more attractive than like the later on, like so like done up. And then, I mean, that's just my objective opinion. I'm not trying to like objectify her or anything, but it's one of those things where it's like, like the Bond movies have never appealed to me in that way, because I've never been like this, like, yeah, let's get a drink at a bar and shoot people and play cards and have sex on the beach. I'm like, let's stay home and play Monopoly and bang.
The tagline of every Bond movie, the first thing you just said.
I love how both situations end up with banging, Colin.
Oh, yeah, of course.
He's got the early Bond movie stereotype perfectly, though.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And every single time on fucking.
I may not play cards or shoot people, but I mean, for God's sakes, I gotta get 1 out of 3. Like, come on.
So before we get into the iconic poker game, guys, what do you guys say we take a break right here?
Cool.
Fucking awesome, guys. We'll be right back with more Casino Royale. Don't go anywhere. I just wanted to take some time to talk to you about Audible. Have you heard about Audible? It's some book thing that every other podcast is talking about. Basically, if you sign up, you can pick up our book titled Midnight Double Feature Doesn't Do Advertising by Colin Duncan, Sohaib Ali, Danny Harley, and Matt Vella. I'm just kidding. We don't have advertising, but I do want to plug our podcast for a sec. Just while we're taking a quick break here, we've got a few things that we just wanted to put out there for any newcomers, or if you're not a part of our growing community, maybe this could benefit you too. Firstly, I just want to let the newbies know about our episodes and the way Midnight Double Feature is currently structured. As you know, right now you're listening to one of our feature presentations. When we started the podcast, we basically built our show around feature presentations. These are movies that we choose to cover and basically go through everything in the movie that's worth talking about sequentially. These episodes are generally longer, and we're definitely looking at options to spice up our feature presentations by getting guests on. We also have the upcoming attractions episodes. Typically, these come out during the week and are much, much shorter than our feature presentations. These are hosted by Matt Vella and basically consist of a conversation between Matt and I about any movie news that's worth talking about, quick reviews of movies that are out there, and other hijinks. Finally, we have our special features. These are usually one-off special episodes that are mostly experimental and don't really have any specific definition. They could be a sit-down with a cast or crew member, a conversation between the hosts, or just a straight-up different thing that might not even relate to film. Before I let you get back to the episode, I just wanted to thank our listeners and supporters. We definitely couldn't have done any of this without your guys' constant support. If, for some reason, you're not part of our growing community, head to our socials. We've got 2 pages on Facebook, Midnight Double Feature, which is our main page and has our formal announcements, and we also have the After Party, which is where we post memes, news, and teasers of what's to come on Midnight Double Feature. We're also on Instagram, which is at Midnight Double Feature, and we're on Twitter, which is at MDF Pod. Thanks again for listening, guys. Back to the show. guys, welcome back. We are freshly squeezed and we are ready to dive back into Bond. Jesus Christ, can't talk. Are you guys there?
We're listening to you. We're listening to you stutter through talking about James Bond.
Oh boy, how are we even on the air? I don't even know.
How are we not as cool as the guy wearing the poker themed suit that's dealing on this table?
This guy's wild, man. But yeah, so this is essentially the day of the game, the day of the big poker game. Bond, I love Bond shaking hands with Le Chiffre, or is that Bond? I'm a little confused.
Yeah,
that's good.
Like he already knows, man. He's onto him. He's onto him. Bond enters Vesper's name as the password for the encrypted money dispersing device, which is what I called it. And I love these poker scenes, man. They're like mini action sequences. They're great. Like it's like I said, as a 13-year-old, I didn't know how poker was played, so it didn't really register with me. But I love poker now. Watching these sequences now, they're as riveting as the filmmakers wanted it to be to feel. Man, I sat there in 2010 playing Red Dead Redemption and played hours and hours of the in-game poker scenes. Like I just sat there and I was just like, yep, fucking deal me up.
That's like going on to San Andreas and just playing like pool forever.
Yeah, or getting a private lap dance in the strip clubs. What
what
was that?
Hey, one thing that we did want to bring up is the character that he gets introduced to. It's Felix. Felix is a reoccurring character that's in a lot of the other Bond movies. He's actually somebody that almost always comes back as a different actor. It almost feels like it's not even the same person, but it's actually the same character throughout the whole thing. He's the American informant, and Colin had a really good point earlier
CIA.
labeling. Oh, thank you, CIA. Colin had a really good way of describing a situation earlier that I think perfectly describes his role in this, which is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Because the entire reason that the CIA is interested in this is because they're going after Le Chiffre, and of course they're a little bit more like closed off and wouldn't want to be doing something as radical as like letting James Bond in and help. But of course they agree to kind of work together to a little bit of a capacity. So I just want to bring that up because that of course comes into play later. He helps him a little bit.
It's a radical plan when the Americans decide to back off.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, he cuts him a pretty good deal, but they for them to play along is it's a little bit like, oh, that's. Yeah.
I love this actor, Jeffrey Wright. He's from Westworld. I think he plays a great Felix.
Yeah, I agree. He's great. They have a good way of casting people that usually really catch your attention on screen. There's not a lot of people in this movie that are forgettable that aren't supposed to be.
Yeah. Vesper coming in with that goddamn dress, man. Holy shit. Were you supposed to come in so that people could see you?
Right.
I love the little tit for tat that these two have. It's great. And man, the money that they're playing with here makes my eyes water. Like just the bets that they're throwing in. I'm just
but it's mostly just colors and sizes of chips. And I've always noticed that if the chips are the things they use, the markers that they use, if they're like really flashy and look like they're really heavy, it's probably a lot of money. Because I really don't know how much that's worth. If somebody were to shove that my way and not let me like read it, I would have to be like, I don't know, like it's like $5 maybe.
Those rectangular slabs, because they have different colors. Yeah, they're like 200 grand or some shit like that. And like later when he just casually throws one of those slabs to the dealer, I'm just like, whoa,
yes,
that's a
great job.
Yeah. I love Bond ordering a fancy vodka martini. Everyone else wants one.
Everybody else is like, I'll have that too. Me too. You can tell how nervous they are.
Yeah. Bond places a device in Le Chiffre's inhaler. And then we get a little break. In Le Chiffre's room, he gets ambushed by Urbano, who's pissed that Le Chiffre's losing his money. Threatens Le Chiffre's girlfriend, Valenka, with a machete. Not a word of protest. You should find a new boyfriend. This guy's scary, dude.
Now, have you guys, I know you just started watching Seinfeld, Zoheb. Are you a Seinfeld fan, Danny?
Oh, yeah.
I'm up to season 6.
I've never sat down and tried to watch them consistently, but I know that I've probably seen every single episode just from seeing it on TV forever and ever and
right.
ever.
There's an episode, do you remember the one where Jerry has that tennis instructor? He finds out his tennis instructor is just like terrible, and the tennis instructor sends he thinks he sends like a woman over to like keep Jerry quiet so he won't lose all of his clients and stuff, and it turns out being that it's like the tennis instructor's wife. It's like this Russian couple. Well, that woman, who I like as a little kid, I was always like, God, she is gorgeous, dude. And I was just like, her and like Mila Jovovich and fucking Fifth Element and shit. I was just like, had this infatuation as a kid. I was like, that's fucking hot. But that's her in this movie. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. It's like, it's cool. Well, yeah, it's cool. I was just saying, it reminded me of her, and I was sitting around the other day. I was bored. No, I'm just kidding.
And just think about women like that moving along.
Yeah. But, I thought it was cool to always like seeing like actors who acted in like the 90s, especially on a sitcom. A lot of those people never really do anything else again. So it's really cool to see like this random bit part be like, and you're in fucking Casino Royale. Like, that's random. I mean, good for you. You're still working though. That's cool.
And this chick is beautiful, dude. Like that dress as well. God damn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then we cue the stairway fight. This fight is great, man. Really brutal, really well choreographed. This one reminds me of Bourne more than anything, because in that first Bourne Identity, there's like that staircase fight. Obano being choked out is awesome, dude. Like, this is brutal.
Very No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, like the scraping on the ground, his fucking shoes and shit. But I love, more than anything, dude, I love the post-fight scene cleanup. Bond cleaning up the blood from his hair, drinking away. We don't see this in previous Bond films, like this damaged, vulnerable Bond who can actually be hurt.
Right, you usually don't see where he's trying to regroup himself, and this is the first time where you're like, oh, this is what it's like to be in the room and reset as Bond. It's weird.
Right, and he's visually like kind of, forgive the pun, but shaken. Yeah, not stirred.
The part that always kills me is when he's rinsing off in the sink, and then the sink is like filled with like bloody water, and he takes it and rubs it in his face, and I was like, come on, dude.
Also, he has bloody fingers, and he picks up his glass with using the inside of the glass to hold it and carry it with like a bunch of blood. I'm like, that's like a lot of people's blood in that glass right now, and you just like drank it.
AIDS. You have AIDS.
Oh my God. Not HIV, AIDS. But full-blown AIDS.
Oh, man. This scene with Vesper in the shower, dude, absolutely shaken by what she's just seen. It's so awesome and different for a Bond film. Like, it's not what I was expecting as a kid, and it's fantastic. Like, these two have great chemistry. And
another reason that this movie has such a almost better, like polar opposite tone of some of the other ones is when people die in the other ones, sometimes it's really goofy and wacky. And you're not even supposed to like feel like pain or like sorrow for a lot of people that die, because some of them are just so comical that you don't even think about like the trauma that would do to somebody. It's a totally different approach. You nailed it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And later, like, she actually asks him, like, don't you feel anything when you kill those men? Like, that's something that's totally new for this franchise.
And just like what would somebody in shock, like, how else would you have ever imagined shock asking?
Yeah.
I like I also like the fact in this scene of like, once you've seen the movie and we understand like her motivation and where her character's been going this whole time. So basically what, like an ex like a former husband or whoever she was with was like kidnapped by Lachey?
Lachey. Not a pop artist.
I was like, wait, I can't remember the name.
It's
and basically
fuck.
Yeah, they've basically kidnapped him, and that's why she's been doing all of this, right? Or I think they ended up murdering him, and then she's just kind of out getting revenge. So I think what's interesting is the fact that I think she's also having to deal with the fact that she's starting to kind of like turn into like she's having to really get her hands dirty, and she's doing the things that were done to her, like, killing people and stuff like that. And I think I think that's something she strikes me as a very intelligent person, but also a very like a very emotionally moral person. Like, she has a moral problem with like doing this, and I think that's cool because you see the thing that affected her life so bad being the thing that she has to get like accustomed to doing, and I think that's cool. I think it's this scene was really appropriate, and we needed a scene between the two of them, kind of building more, and we needed a scene more of her just being this snarky comeback kind of, which is great. That's fun and all, but let's really flesh this out and let's really give it some brevity just by showing the actual trauma of that. And I thought that was a nice touch. It's very tasteful. I like that.
Right. And she can't even fully like relate and even tell Bond a lot of this because she can't tell him all the other pressures she has going on that is her character, as in like the other shit that she has going on that she's playing Bond. like I don't think any of that other stuff had anything to do with people dying. So now, like,
that's a good
she
point.
was like totally out of her league in the first place, and was
Can you imagine if she just says to Bond, like Bond doesn't get like why she's so upset, and she's like, "Come on, man, I'm a double agent. I'm trying to deal with shit here." Like she just spits it out.
And then he's like, "Oh, that's funny," and they move on.
Yeah. Back at the poker game, Le Chiffre fakes a tell so that Bond thinks he's bluffing, and it forces Bond to go all in. It turns out that Le Chiffre had pocket jacks. You must have thought I was bluffing, Mr. Bond. So awesome, dude. Le Chiffre is so smug here, like the way he kind of like does that little double take at the cards.
Yeah.
Bond wants Vesper to re-up him with the $5 million that's in reserve, and Vesper doesn't want to, though, thinking that Bond lost because of his ego, which is actually a fair point, I think. It's a theme that Bond has to kind of overcome in the movie. This young Bond is brash, and he leaps without looking, and it's a great consequence for him, I think.
The empty shot of him at the poker table, and Vesper's just kind of like over to the left on the side, I was like, that is a man broken. That is a good shot. That is all of the chips on the table and nothing in front of him.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, that's a good image.
Someone who's usually in a lot of control and is not totally worried about anything, like Mathis is in some of these scenes too, and like you can tell even he is like not really quite sure where to go from next whenever things hit the fan here.
So this movie does some really good things with the tropey Bond stuff, and this is absolutely my favorite. Vodka martini, shaken or stirred. Do I look like I give a damn?
I give a damn. I'd love that. Yeah,
very cool,
awesome, dude. Bond was straight up going to stab Le Chiffre here. Holy shit!
And he stops him.
If he wasn't stopped by like intercepted by Felix, he was just going to brutally stab this dude. That's crazy.
I mean, he's losing sight of what's really happening here, because if Le Chiffre is dead, it's really not a big deal, because there's probably a lot of people in that criminal world that's like this, and the whole reason he's there is to bring him in and spill the beans on an entire larger organization. So,
right,
I mean,
big picture.
This is definitely like the most he loses his shit, I think, the whole movie.
Yeah,
Can't control it right here.
It's totally and it speaks a lot to his character as well, because like we said, he's younger, he's brash, he leaps without looking, and it totally makes sense that he grabs a knife in this like heat of the moment thing, and he's like, get the girl out, and he's just like goes straight for him. But yeah, Felix wants to stake Bond as long as the CIA can bring Le Chiffre in, like you said, Danny. And then we get to the poison martini scene. Dude, awesome. This entire sequence is fucking tense, man. Just him stumbling out to the car, contacts MI6 who are monitoring his heart rate, and I love the reveal of the defibrillator not being plugged in. Oh, awesome.
Oh yeah, it's like, oh shit, what would you do here?
Yeah, but Vesper comes to the rescue, doesn't she? Apparently Treasury accountants are briefed in advanced MI6 tech. Apparently.
That's funny.
She just plugs that shit right in, and I'm back. Bond goes back.
She I guess in that sense she's very multifaceted, like Bond. Like it's really hard to pick up on it in just watching one movie, and I'm kind of maybe more saying this towards Colin, but the coolest thing about his character is that he is like a one-man army. He really can. It's like he's portraying all these movies really anything. It's just a broad range of knowledge for just a single person, and I like how expert he is. All of it. I just love that about his character. And so it's funny to see somebody who is incredibly resourceful, like literally just out of time, not even being able to work a defibrillator because it wasn't plugged in. Something that's just totally random that could happen to, I guess, really any maybe agent in the field that has equipment like that. So you're right, so it makes you feel like super worried for him.
That last hand nearly killed me.
They had to throw in some one-liners.
Oh boy, I love it. In the final round, Bond and Le Chiffre go head-to-head. Bond throws 40 million plus into the pot, which Le Chiffre calls, and Le Chiffre ends up with a full house, but Bond wins out with a straight flush. And man, Le Chiffre looks like he's about to shit himself. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the first time that you see a bad guy panicked and without a Bond having a gun in his hand.
Yeah, totally.
It's very like, goes from Le Chiffre to Le Shit.
But he looks so smugly over at the girlfriend that Colin was just talking about, just for he didn't go home with her.
Cool Bond move, dude. Like I said, tipping the dealer. It's so smooth, so fucking smooth.
Thank you, sir.
It's just little things like that. And honestly, out of all of the all 4 Craig movies, we've had 4, right? 4, yeah, pretty sure. So my favorite little Bond sequence or little kind of movement comes in Skyfall. Danny, I don't know if you remember, but he like jumps down from the train and he fixes his cuff and he moves on. Like it's just that little.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, that's good.
So
cool, he's using a bulldozer to rip the back of that train off, and then he runs on top of the arm of that bulldozer to
jumps down,
stay in there. Yeah, and he just straightens it. Yeah, that's a bad.
Yeah, it's little moments like that, man. I'm just like that. That is what I think of when I think of James Bond.
Yes. That I think, and this is kind of subject for the whole thing, but he falls into a lot more of that tropey Bond stuff as they move on in the movies. Like Spectre's kind of
full of them.
Is like one of my least favorite because of that, because there's almost too many of them to the point where you're like, ooh, you're trying to act like Sean Connery now. It's a little weird.
Totally. And then we get this Bond and Vesper dinner scene. Bond and Vesper Bond. She grills him about being so detached emotionally after killing people. And Vesper takes a call from Mathis, says goodnight to Bond, and Bond kind of realizes that something's not right here. He says Mathis, and he chases after her. What do you think gave Mathis away here? No, there's nothing explicit that gives Mathis away, and I was confused about that when I was younger too.
Now you're making me really study this.
Well, because like
I've watched this once, and honestly, I didn't even think about that. I was just like, oh god, let's get to the end of this piece of shit. No, I'm just kidding.
I think it's because earlier, before Mathis exits, I think the movie as a whole, if I'm not wrong, that he says that his last conversation with him is, I think, that Mathis was leaving. So for her to get a call and to be meeting him outside made no sense, I think is what that was.
Right.
I can't really rewind efficiently right now to figure it out, but I think he meant his conversation with Bond when he leaves after all that takes place was that he wasn't going to be there, or that he was already gone. So it was weird that he was still there.
I think you're right, because I got a little excerpt from the book here. I'm just going to read it quickly. So from the book, the difference is that Mathis doesn't send a text message. Obviously, he sends him a note because this was written in the 50s. So at 4 o'clock, Bond was about to call for the bill when the maitre d' of the hotel appeared at their table and inquired for Miss Lind. He handed her a note, which she took and read hastily. Oh, it's only Mathis, she said. He said I would come to the entrance hall. He's got a message for you. Perhaps he's not in evening clothes or something. I won't be a minute, then perhaps we could go home. Suddenly, the note to Vesper seemed odd to him. It was not the way Mathis would do things. He would have asked them both to join them at the bar of the casino, or he would have joined them in the nightclub, whatever his clothes.
Oh, I get that. Yeah, okay.
So it's kind of like more the fact that it doesn't fit Mathis's character, but I don't think we get enough of Mathis to make that call in the movie.
To make that connection yourself and kind of follow it with Bond. You're right. Yeah.
Bond picks up on it too late, though. He rushes out to the car, witnesses Vesper being taken, and takes off in the DBS. All goes fine until fucking...
Yeah, this is an epic
Boom.
car chase scene that takes about 13 seconds.
This crash is amazing.
Yeah.
This is always so memorable to me. The way the music like dips down, there's no music anymore suddenly, and he swerves and the car just goes fucking flying, dude.
Tumbles and tumbles. Do you know anything about the behind the scenes with this? I don't myself very much. I'm just curious if you do.
I do. Before we get into that, I do remember watching it and being disappointed, though. I remember being disappointed that we get so little of the Aston Martin after so much of it in Die Another Day, because it's like, where are the guns? Where are the cool gadgets? We didn't even talk about that, dude. There are no gadgets in this movie.
So they, hardly any. The tracker in his wrist and some stuff that he was using to track, like the sheath and maybe little tiny things that are just super covert. I think it makes you have to rely on his abilities a lot more, so it makes him, stand out more as like a new Bond in that sense.
Yeah. So for this scene, Aston came up with 3 replicas. On the outside, they looked identical to the actual car, but on the inside, they had roll cages and were very minimalistic. And they used a nitrogen cannon to flip car through the air, and they set the Guinness World Record for the most cannon rolls in a car, which is 7. So I don't know.
That's why they're there, to break those records.
Right. I don't know if that is if that still applies, because this is obviously 2006, so I'm not sure if the Guinness World Record is still being held by Casino Royale, but still. But yeah, they tried this a few times, man. Like they tried it with a few BMWs, because the BMWs were they had the same dimensions. They built a ramp for that little jump that the Aston Martin does. They weren't able to get it right, and like I said, they were testing it at the same location that they were shooting the airport sequence. But yeah, this was filmed. I can't remember. It's obviously not Montenegro, but it's this sequence, dude, always gets me. It's always memorable, and it's always fun to watch. Really.
Yeah, I agree. And it's okay. Like to do Quantum of Solace a little bit of justice, they make up for that by having a pretty bitching car chase scene at the beginning.
Yeah,
of that.
dude. That movie opens spectacularly. It's a great sequence. I'm afraid your friend Mathis is really my friend Mathis.
Burn!
Burn. Got you, bitch. And then we move on to the famous torture scene.
Oh,
holy
man.
shit.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Colin,
That's
you're right.
rough,
You're
man.
right earlier that he's pretty brutal.
Colin, hit me with this scene. What'd you think?
He had a stomach ache afterwards.
Yeah, I was trying to. I was really trying to think of what it reminded me of. It reminded me of a lot of different like torture scenes, but really there's something different in it about like there's always been violence in the Bond films, and there's been some torture scenes here and there, and I know a lot of that kind of came with like Timothy Dalton's character and stuff.
Yeah, there's super softcore like torture scenes though. Like there's nothing ever like that would make it raise a rating, I think, in a Bond film for like a torture scene ever before it until like this one. If I'm not feeling where you're going with this.
No, yeah, I think this is definitely like unprecedented, basically. But the mutilation of like sexual reproductive organs is specifically very disturbing. You know, and it's even if it's like I've heard about like in certain religious groups like clitorectomies and stuff like this whole like horrible shit that happens. It reminds me of a really great movie with Patrick Wilson and Ellen Page called Hard Candy.
Yeah.
Oh, that is where she's basically like kind of cutting his beans and Frank off. And
yeah, that movie has a great twist.
Yeah, well, I mean, just watch it. It's I don't think it ruins anything because it's kind of all over the place, really. But it really it reminded me of that, and at the same time, this all felt very oddly like Call of Duty ish. Like this felt almost like a cutscene in like a Call of Duty kind of like in Black Ops 1. There's a great scene that mirrors like the Deer Hunter, where it's you and I think actually Ice Cube is one of the voice actors in it, and you're all being forced to play Russian roulette with each other. And it's, I mean, like that is a more of a psychological kind of like torture, but at the same time, it had this very it kind of had that same feel for me in that way. But this is so like when you first kind of see it, you're like, oh well, you know, don't get me wrong, that definitely sucks. But there's like worse ways to be tortured.
Don't get me wrong, that definitely sucks.
Yeah, but like as you're watching it at first, because for me, I'm like, man, no, like I was kind of like at first it's kind of like, is that it? Like maybe I'm just kind of like desensitized. Like I thought they do something really, really awful, but it's not just because he hits him once. I mean, he's like repeatedly, and this is like a thing where you see a lot of characters that get punched like 1,000 times, or they get hit and they're knocked out for 30 minutes and they get back up and they're fine. When in reality, you're probably going to die in like 6 weeks from like that kind of knockout injury. But with this, every one of those hits is just like crippling, and that's where the weight of it really comes in. Because the first couple times, like, God, that's nuts. Oh my
God.
But seeing it repeated times is what really got me.
Yeah, it for me, it's like how calmly Lachey starts it. Like he just like taps it, and then it's like he starts gasping, and then Bond like gets into it. I've got a little itch. Would you mind?
I love, yeah, totally shows that he's not scared of him. I love that.
Yeah, this
now the whole world knows you're gonna. Now the whole world knows you're gonna die scratching my balls.
Fucking great line, dude. Yeah, this makes my balls hurt just looking at it. We find out why Bond never has kids, man. Like this is insane.
Yeah, but you know, I think this shows how high stakes of a person he is trying to go for this, because you know that's his most valuable asset.
Oh yeah, I also don't want to go past Daniel Craig here, man. Like he is genuinely fantastic in this sequence.
I feel like Patrick Harrington's gonna have a lot of comments about Daniel Craig's body in that scene on this later.
Something about wrestling, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Craig was fantastic as Bond when he cared. Like he does not give a fucking Spectre. I'm sorry, but I just think that's the way he came across Spectre. But yeah, Mr. White walks in and he shoots Lachey in the forehead. And dude, I was not expecting that. Even as a kid, I remember thinking, what the fuck?
Yeah, how often is it that the bad guy's offed by the other bad guy that you don't even really fully understand yet?
Exactly. And I think that's one of the weakest part of this movie is connecting it so much to the sequel. I wish this was a bit more standalone, but it's unfortunately not. In the book, he was shot in the forehead by an agent from the organization known as Smirsh. So
that sounds like an alien race in Futurama, or like some kind of drink. Like, hey, give me a Smirsh.
Yeah, well, so I didn't mention this. So in the book, Mickelson's character worked for a Russian criminal organization called SMERSH, which is an acronym for the Russian words that translate to death to spies. And in the book, SMERSH's money was like the money that Lashif lost. It wasn't a Ugandan warlord or anything like that. But yeah, so Bond actually has the history of Bond and the mythology of Bond actually have a couple of organizations like Spectre and SMERSH, I guess. But
SMERSH sounds like a Smurf venereal disease. That's like all I can think of now. It's like I can see like Smurfette coming home to Papa Smurf and be like, well, I've got it. I've got the SMERSH.
Totally,
just like really dramatic scene. She's like, no.
Totally, dude. Money isn't as valuable to our organization as knowing who to trust. And this is the first hint of Quantum, which is basically revealed to be controlled by Spectre later. This is also where the movie becomes, to me, less interesting. Like, it feels like the momentum's gone after this. I
agree. Every
time I watch this movie, I'm just like, oh, okay, so that's it. Like, I don't know. I feel like the momentum that the movie's built up, the sinister nature of Lashif, like, it's all kind of gone in service of setting up a sequel, setting up, as good as Vesper's betrayal is, like, it's kind of like, okay, I guess. But I don't know.
I didn't even really think of it in terms of the rest of this movie is practically setting up the sequels. It's kind of talking about the really fly-by-night relationship that Bond has, that is kind of, Colin was talking about it earlier, I think it's on Her Majesty's Secret Service. I think this is kind of borrowing an element maybe from that, where they show that he was like actually attached to a woman really seriously at some point, enough for that to get fucked up enough for him to fall into that same like trope Bond that we know, where he's a little bit like more careless with women, I guess is easy.
Yeah. So Bond wakes up, Mathis gets taken by the MI6. I love the nonchalant way he just gets tasered and just dragged off.
Yeah, just nodding like,
yeah.
Take him.
Swiss banker visits Bond to give him his winnings. After Bond tells Vesper the password is her name, you can see the frustration in her face, like she's actually genuinely wrestling with it. And dude, Eva Green kills this moment. If all that was left was your smile and your little finger, you'd still be more of a man than anyone I've ever met.
Yeah, that's good. And her delivery of it is actually believable.
Totally.
I think that's an okay line, but like a good actor can make an okay line great.
Yeah, I genuinely agree.
Is Mathis or somebody still standing there whenever she delivers this line? Because if they are, they'd be like, can I go?
She said, if all that was left was your smile and your finger, you'd still be more of a man. But just for shits and giggles, why don't you let me take a peek and see what's going on down there? Well, like, just in case.
Well, my retort would have been, it's not so little finger. It's not such a little finger. Come on. Bond says that he's Vesper's. Well done, James. Like, you gave all this shit up for a woman. Well done, bro. Well done. But yeah, like I said, man, this is all servicing the character that Bond will become eventually, right? Like, I kind of like that Bond becomes cold and calculated after, quote, the Vesper debacle, which is what I called it in my head.
Vesper debacle.
Venice. Bond resigns from MI6. On the way in, Vesper sees a shady guy with glasses that has like one tinted lens. And of course, this guy
he's like, that's normal.
Yeah, this guy's Adolf. His first name is Adolf Gettler. He's from the book. He's working for Quantum. I believe in the book he was working for SMERSH. So every time I say SMERSH, I can't
take it seriously anymore.
Yeah.
I also couldn't imagine Christoph Walken seriously delivering something about SMERSH.
SMERSH, it was good.
I didn't mean Christopher Walken. I meant Christoph Waltz. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
Both Bond villains accidentally. That's funny.
You know what? You said Christoph walk in. It sounded like Christopher walk in closet or some shit like that. I don't know.
Anyway.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'd like to ask you if you'd like to buy a bottle of my famous SMERSH.
Wunderbar. Yeah.
Go check out the Django Unchained episode at the very beginning if you guys haven't watched it.
Yeah, go check it out, guys. Definitely check it out. But I do like Christoph Waltz as a villain later in Spectre. Like, he's great. He plays the big bad, right? Like big Blofeld. He plays Blofeld. But,
the main one.
And I want to say I'm actually glad that Christoph Waltz was able to break that typecast of a surgeon to get on him, because we've also got Inglourious Bastards, I think, like a couple of years after this, maybe. And he's still like, I can see how easy it is in American film to typecast him as that villain guy. And he's German. He's got a very kind of erratic way of speaking, but he's just such a diverse actor, and I'm just glad that didn't really get like stuck on him.
Well, the movie you're describing is called Green Hornet with Seth Rogen, and he's the villain in that.
Oh, God, of course.
Bond rushes... hold on. Sorry, I'm lost here. So in Venice, Bond receives a call from M, who asks when Bond will be depositing the winnings from the poker game, and it turns out Vesper gave the Swiss banker a different account number, and she's withdrawing the funds at that very moment.
I kind of wanted to see M call, and basically she's like, oh, I have a lovely man here who's wondering, where's my money at, motherfuckers? Like if it was like Samuel L. Jackson's voice, like over the fucking phone.
I think
like, in the background, he's the one that Felix was working for.
Well, I think of Stewie. Where's my money? Where's my money?
Dude, I was just about to say, don't make a fool out of me, Brian.
Where's my money? Yeah.
You got money for fake mustaches? How much that fake mustache cost? Oh, $2.50.
Did you remember when Family Guy was good?
Yeah. Family Guy's been on for so long that it was good, and then it got bad, and it's kind of gotten good again.
Oh, really?
Like there's some newer episodes that I saw where they were really funny. It had Quagmire and his sister in them, and shit like that. And I was like, oh, this is actually pretty fucking good. But yeah, it definitely fell off there for a while.
Yeah. Bond rushes to intercept Vesper at the bank, but it's too late. He spots Vesper, who's meeting with Gettler. I love Bond silently taking out the Quantum Goon, but he's spotted, man, and he takes the fucking gunfire ensues. Jesus Christ, gunfight. Fuck, can't talk. Dude, I love the shooting of the flotation structures that keep the building intact. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, like it almost makes you scared to go to Venice because you're like, that's what it would take for a building to go down, but surely,
Visually, this scene is cool, like the outside, the building falling down, but to me, it's my least favorite sequence in the movie.
I like the cat and mouse just before all this happens of him trying to catch up to her, because one thing, she's wearing red, she easily picked out in the crowd, but nobody else is wearing that red, like she's standing out very well. And I know neither of you probably have ever seen this movie before. It's called Don't Look Now. It's got Donald Sutherland in it. It's a horror movie from the 70s. But this is very much so like he keeps seeing a woman or like a small like feminine kind of figure that he thinks is his daughter who's recently died, and he's having like visions of her and seeing her, and he's like chasing her around Venice just like this. So it was I was like, wait, fuck, that reminds me of like Don't Look Now. It's actually a pretty good movie. If you ever get a chance, check it out. It's Donald Sutherland's great in it.
Why have I heard of that? Was that remade into something, or
it might have been? It's I'm not gonna lie, it has frequented a lot of like top 10 like horror films, because I mean I don't think it's worthy of that, but it is a good movie. I like anything with Donald Sutherland though. I think he's awesome. a fantastic actor, but it's pretty good. It reminded me a lot of these like catacomby Venice kind of like chase scenes with this woman in red. I was like, okay.
So the sinking building was actually created in the studio and was a mix of CG and model work by the construction unit. The row of houses that are next to the building are real, and actually can be found in a district of Venice, which is pretty cool, I think.
That's awesome. They've shot a lot of scenes in James Bond films in Venice. They've been there a lot.
Yeah, I love Venice, dude. I totally want to visit it one day. Gettler takes a fucking nail to the eye. Like, we had to do something with his eye, right?
Yeah. At least take care of the eye. I don't know. He was such a weird character to introduce with that little quirky of a thing, just for them to shoot him in the eye with a staple gun.
Well, how else are we going to show that as a villain? Come on.
Yeah, he can't die.
What is it with fucking Bond villains and the eye? I'm like, I'd love to see one Bond villain who's just like, and I'm missing the 3/4 of one thumb. I'm like, oh, that's not incredibly interesting. That's weird. I lost it at a Def Leppard concert.
Can you? Oh, by the way, man, Rami Malek is in talks.
Yeah.
For the next one.
Oh,
Colin, you want to hear something wild? There's rumors that his villain is going to be blind. I'm not even fucking around.
Wow. Fuck it. fuck. Fuck, dude. It's just the fact that it's like, all right, guys, all right. We got to stop going with the one eye thing. What are we going to do?
Both eyes.
Yeah, we'll double down. We'll fucking double down. He's deaf, blind, and mute, and he has no hands. Like, it's just going to eventually be this, like, insane. Yeah. Hey, what is the next villain going to be? Fucking Helen Keller?
Why are we scaring you?
That is so fucking ridiculous. He's blind.
Jesus Christ.
It's Stevie Wonder or somebody. Like, very superstitious. Sorry.
Writing's on the wall, but I can't read it because I'm a blind Bond villain.
We gotta stop singing it. We're gonna get sued.
Vesper locks the door to the elevator, apologizes to Bond, and drowns.
Why? Why does she kill herself? Basically,
I think
the people that are after her are dead. I assume, right?
I think it's kind of
the
like
people representing them.
I don't know. I think it's kind of like maybe she's so in love with Bond that it's like I can't live with myself kind of thing.
No dick is worth it, sweetie. Come on. I mean, like, I get it, his perfectly sculpted ass, but like at the same time, I just never understood this. I didn't know if this was something where was this guy with the one eye, not to be confused with the four other ones in this movie. This guy with the one eye is, I assume that he's like the one personally responsible for her husband's
situation.
Yeah, right. I assume that he's the one personally responsible, and now that he's dead, she doesn't really care anymore, because to go this far down the rabbit hole of like betrayal and treason and doing all of the stuff just over the no, I don't want to belittle it and say just over the death of this one person who was probably the fucking center of your world, but like I think that to go down that rabbit hole that far, you kind of have to have a death wish. You kind of have to be like, I don't care if I die, I just want this to die. And once you accomplish that thing, I think that she's done things that she didn't expect herself to do and didn't really want to have to do, and now that she's kind of reconciled those things, she's just like, well, fuck it, now I'm done. I don't have to worry about this anymore.
Yeah, well, she did all this for one person she was faithful to, and then she started like getting faithful to a totally different person, and then all that blows up in her face because all the fucking warfare that you see having to go on just because of all this. It's like she's kind of like just trying to take herself out of the equation permanently.
Well, it could also be, she kills herself because she does not want to deal with the consequences from Spectre and Quantum, like fucking with her. Like, can you imagine like torture that they'll put her through if she survives this and she's captured by them? Like Quantum.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Quantum is shown to be this shadowy organization and figure, that's overly villainous. Like, she could be probably scared of like what they're capable of, kind of thing. But not only that, if she's also captured by MI6, then imagine the interrogation that she'd have to go through to give up information about the organization.
Yeah.
One thing this also reminded me of her being in the elevator and a French woman in an elevator with a blonde guy. I guess I was like, oh, it feels like Inception. It's like this is like it just reminded me of that in a way, because she kind of she kind of reminds me of that. I don't know, like it'd be very hard for me. I like Mary. Is it Marion Cotillard or Colliard? I can't remember how exactly it's said. Thank you. But no, yeah, I think that woman is a knockout. She's such a fucking good actress. Holy shit.
She's awesome, dude. As Bond tries to resuscitate Vesper, Mr. White walks away with the winnings. M tells Bond that Vesper had a boyfriend and that Bond had learned his lesson by not trusting anyone. Why should I need more time? The job's done and the bitch is dead, he says.
Damn.
Cold, dude. Old.
Becoming much more cold.
Yeah.
But all this extra 30 minutes of movie pays off towards.
Yeah, this entire last act, I guess, it goes on for a bit too long. I don't need it to go on for this long. I think you could have trimmed maybe 15 to 20 minutes of this and it'd still be as effective. M enlightens Bond, saying that Vesper made a deal with Quantum in exchange for the money, like that night that they were captured, which is interesting, actually. And Bond gets Mr. White's number from Vesper's phone and pays him a visit in one of the most badass final sequences in history for me, man. I love the way this movie ends.
Easy the best Bond ending ever. All the other ones are really him, just like it's the theme music, if not a different take on the theme music from the same movie, whatever it is, just playing after him and the woman get together, so this is different for him to finally, of course, deliver the most iconic line, but also like show his growth, because he shows up in like this like multi-piece suit and just this like super silence rifle. Cold rifle, man. It's badass.
Yeah, man, the sound of the shot that hits White's foot and it's just like this echo. Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I'll take that house if he's not not going to live there anymore.
Yeah, for sure. And dude, yeah, like you said, the iconic line, the name's Bond, James Bond. And then we cue the music and we're out. Fucking awesome, dude. The next movie opens with Bond escaping Quantum with White in the trunk. I love how it's just seconds go by. Like he's already in a car chase.
And it is an awesome... It's an awesome chase scene for sure. It's one of the stronger points of that whole movie.
It is. And look, that movie does do a few things pretty well that carry over from this movie. Like I do like the way that Bond is essentially the Terminator after, Vesper's been essentially murdered and been put in the situation by Quantum, and that carries over. It takes a break in Skyfall because Skyfall's more about M, I think, and her backstory with the villain. We also get, obviously a look in on Bond's character, but it picks up again in Spectre when you find out that Blofeld is the one pulling the strings. But yeah, man, that's fucking Casino Royale. I have one little piece of trivia. So have you guys heard of the director named Paul Haggis?
No.
Okay. Well, he directed a movie called Crash. He's an award-winning director. Like he's Crash won Best Picture at the Oscars. He directed a movie called The Next 3 Days. He's a big shot. He's actually more in the news lately because he's come out about Scientology. He was in Scientology, but he's an outspoken person against it now. He wrote $1 Million Baby. He's more of a writer, actually. But he actually contributed to rewriting the climax of the film. He said that the draft that was there was very faithful to the book, and there was a confession with Vesper. So in the original draft, the character confessed and killed herself. She then sent Bond to chase after the villains. Bond chased the villains into the house. I don't know why, but I thought that Vesper had to be in the sinking house, and Bond has to want to kill her and then try and save her. That was an interview with The Guardian, which I thought, I don't know, I think this was a stronger ending, even though it is a bit ambiguous as to why she kills herself, but yeah.
Right.
Holy shit, guys. We just did our first Bond movie.
Awesome.
Do we have listener comments? I'm sure we do.
Yeah, we got a couple on Facebook I can read off. Nathan Burkhart said, when GoldenEye came out, I didn't want to say aloud that I think Brosnan does a better job than Connery for fear of just being struck down for blasphemy, which is so, this is me speaking. That's so relatable because some people are just so overly passionate about certain Bond. You're just like, God, it's okay. That's funny to kind of get that notion, but he goes on to say, however, when I say that Daniel Craig is the best Bond, so it is written, so shall it be done. So yeah, Nathan's pick is definitely Craig, it looks like. Patrick Harrington, of course, always commenting thanks, said, I fucking love this movie. Really invigorating my love for Bond. This may be controversial, but Craig is my favorite Bond, even over Connery. Also, when he's tortured by Le Chiffre, I felt every ball shot watching this in the theater.
100%.
Painful. And then Jesse Privet said, absolute favorite Bond movie. It rekindled the franchise for me, and I totally agreed with him.
Hell yeah, man.
You had a poll that you hung up that I think had a lot of good attention.
Yeah. I posted a poll just saying, what's the best 007 film? And guys, if you want to take part in any of our polls in the future, be sure to follow the After Party on Facebook. And what I did was I posted the poll and I suggested a few Bond films that are kind of universally regarded as the good Bond films. So I had From Russia with Love, Goldfinger.
Surprised you put that on there, but that one is never talked about. I feel like I never hear it, but it's really, really good.
Oh, really? Yeah, I've heard quite a few people talking about that. I don't know.
It aged well because of how they shot it. It's worth it.
Oh, dude, the train sequence, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Exactly what I was thinking about.
Goldfinger is another one that's really highly regarded. Skyfall, obviously. GoldenEye, obviously, and Casino Royale. So the order is Casino Royale came in at number 1, GoldenEye number 2, Skyfall 3, and 4 was Goldfinger, with no one voting for From Russia with Love.
I saw that. If I had to pick between one of those, it still wouldn't have gotten it, but that's an honorable mention, at the very least.
Guys, thank you so much for commenting and voting in our poll. That's awesome, man. I'm really glad that people engaged with that poll. So
I think we had one more comment on Instagram.
Do you have it?
Oh yeah, there was Larry Kin. I love reading these comments because they're so short and sweet. His comment is literally dope. That's it.
That does it for comments.
That's that's it, guys. Colin, give me your closing thoughts on Casino Royale. I know you hate this fucking movie. This piece of shit. It's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm basically it's like just pulling splinters out of my dick the whole time. Like, this is awful. Oh no,
from that rope, I see, huh?
Yeah,
give it a score as well.
I'm gonna say like a 7 out of 10 for me. Like, it's not a bad movie. It's just not my kind of movie, and there's nothing wrong with that. And at the same time, though, you can appreciate the time and the effort that went into making this movie, the intention of pushing Bond in another direction, and seeing the risk for that paying off really well. And like, how many Bond movies did Connery do? He did quite a few, didn't he?
Yeah, he's done the most out of all of them.
And I don't think he's done the most. So I think Roger Moore had that title.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Oh, well, I think it's interesting that Daniel Craig, like it can be kind of divisive at first, and like, oh, this guy, like, what the fuck? And then now he's going on to like his 5th Bond movie now, which is really cool. So obviously he's successful at it. The fans seem to like him. The studio definitely seems to like him, and I like him just fine too. I think that this is cool because we front load it with action scenes, but it's kind of like the movie, I think, knows itself to say, listen, the stuff that you think is going to be the climax of our movie isn't going to be the climax of our movie. We're going to front load that because you know what you're coming to see when you see a James Bond movie, and that's the problem. We want to change that. We want to adapt that formula and evolve it now, and what we're going to do is front load these action scenes, and at the end, it's basically like the climax is like fucking playing chess. I think that's awesome. That's a really cool flip on the script. It's not 007 tracking down 006 in this huge cradle and dropping him, blah blah blah, or all these big explosions and stuff. We do that at the very beginning. We get that out of the way, and I think that's really smart. And I like the fact that it lets the whole like world of espionage kind of do the talking and the walking right there for the climax of it. I think that's awesome. I would say a 7 out of 10. I like it. Don't really love it, but at the same time, I can appreciate it for being a very good movie.
Nice, Danny.
To correct something we were looking at earlier, I looked it up. If you count Never Say Never Again, which is barely a Bond movie, there's so many like copyright things that they couldn't get. Like, it doesn't even play the Bond theme in the movie because it was like the guy that helped write that book, like, owned enough rights, just enough for him to like get a movie made and get Sean Connery to come back. If you count that one, then it is Sean Connery. But if you don't, then they're tied. It's him. And I don't know what else to say about this. I think when someone on the comments said it perfectly earlier, rekindled their love for the Bond movies, and I totally agree. That's exactly the best way to summarize this for me. 9 out of 10. If it were shorter, it might have been a 10.
Oh yeah, I agree, man. Same score, 9 out of 10. This is a fantastic movie. I think without even realizing it, I watch it every year. I've realized that lately, like I think today.
Nice.
So
cool.
It's just
Skyfall's done that a little bit for me.
See, sometimes. Skyfall, yeah, but I feel like that drags a little more than this one does.
Yeah, I start getting on my phone or playing a game or something whenever it starts getting towards whenever they go back to Scotland and that whole thing happens. That's just too much for me.
With those two movies, Sam Mendes, I think he's a bit too self-indulgent, which I'm really glad that they've moved on to a new director, Cary Fukunaga, who did True Detective in this new one. So
yeah, those don't drag on.
What? True Detective's fantastic. Season 1, he did season 1, which is fantastic. But
dude, he also wrote. He also helped write the new It movie.
Yeah, he was supposed to direct it. Yeah. But man, like this is a fantastic movie. This is the movie, along with Batman Begins, that I always point out is a successful reboot. Whenever people are like, "Oh, why are they rebooting that movie?" I'm like, well, look at the potential for a good reboot, and it's always Casino Royale or Batman Begins.
Good two call-outs.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. So really, really love this movie. I give it a 9. I do think it is a bit long, and I do think the third act is a bit weaker than the first two. But nonetheless, a great film, and a definitely awesome introduction to Craig's Bond. And it's just an all-out entertaining movie with a fantastic ending that just makes you hum that theme song. Great.
Yeah.
But guys, do you guys have anything else you want to say before we peace out of here?
No, I'm good.
Awesome.
Nope, I'm good.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We are Midnight Double Feature. You can follow us on Facebook. We have 2 pages, which is Midnight Double Feature, which is our main page, and then we have the After Party, which is all of our discussions and where we talk about movies and news and things like that. We have three kinds of episodes. You've just listened to a feature presentation. We also have upcoming attractions, which is where Matt and I get together and we talk about the latest news. We give our reviews of what's in cinemas right now and what we're watching. And then we also have our special features, which is our kind of one-off episodes that don't really,
they're all over the map sometimes.
Yeah, they're all over the map, really. Yeah, for sure. We're also on Instagram, which is at Midnight Double Feature, and we're on Twitter, which is at MDF Pod. And be sure to rate and review us on iTunes. We love to see what we're doing wrong, what we're doing right. If you think we deserve 1 star, give us 1 star, but at least tell us why. We want to know what we're doing wrong. We want to know how we can fix the show. But guys, Danny, Colin, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. It was a blast to talk about Bond, blast to talk about Casino Royale. Guys, we will see you next time. Thanks so much for joining us.